Hey, welcome everybody. It's Ace and Rich today. How are we doing today, Rich?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to have you, and I know my people are as well as us. They're all pouring in over here. So, welcome everybody to the show, American Fire. We have a guest today from Rich Does Politics. I think most of you know his show. It is excellent. He has all kinds of just amazing guests on all the time, and I've actually been blessed to be on there a couple times myself, and really enjoyed it. But Rich. Um, I just wanted to, first of all, we're going to go through a lot of what's going on. There's all kinds of craziness in the Middle East. Trump is ramping things up. We have stuff going on in the Justice Department that's really interesting. So, guys, we're going to cover a lot of today's uh, what's going to happen in the last 24 hours. But I also want to have Rich on because he has so many amazing guests on that he's getting all kinds of great insights into stuff and then he's got his own little journey. So, Rich, if you don't mind, I'd love you to just introduce yourself a little bit for those who are new to meeting you for the first time.
Hi, everybody. I'm the host of Rich Does Politics, and I have had Ace on my channel not enough times. Little hint there. And it's just great to be on. I'm in the UK, as you can probably tell by the way that I say, I ask if you'd like a cup of tea. Not that I can offer you one. I think that's enough.
That's enough. Okay.
That's enough.
Okay.
Thank you, Ace.
So, Rich, the one thing I did want to ask you. So, guys, for those who don't know, Rich, he has the Promethean Action people go on his show. He has Tom Luongo, who's a favorite here. Ian Burlingame, Blaine Holt, Steve Kuhn. There's just so many great people he has amongst a bunch of others. But there is an underlying theme, and the underlying theme is understanding what's really going on behind the scenes in kind of like this deep state, globalist, cabal, City of London type deal, which we like to call the sovereigntists versus the globalists, for lack of a better term. But Rich, so for you being in the UK, which we all watch from afar and don't know as much, what was kind of like your awakening to what, like, just something different going on than what they tell us in the media?
Well, I've had the privilege of having Tom Luongo on my channel. We've been doing videos together for over 9 years.
Wow.
And I don't always agree with Tom, but I always listen. And then
Mm,
I see how it pans out. And he's been remarkably accurate about many, many things. He has a really great
yes,
read,
I
an
agree.
ability to read what's happening at a geopolitical level. So he's been a big part of my awakening. And then I think the other thing, there was a particular episode a few years ago where the world got really, really weird. And we were all being encouraged to roll up our sleeves to have an incredibly safe and effective medical concoction.
Right.
And and I didn't have that incredibly safe and effective medical concoction, but you'll be relieved to know that nowadays I have it every single hour because it's so safe and effective. Oh, this is on Rumble, right? So no, I didn't have it at all. There's no
Yeah,
bloody
wait,
way.
yeah, you get, well,
No bloody
Rumble and
way.
YouTube and X actually. So you're safe two out of the three.
Okay. Well, I didn't have it at all. So that was a big part of the awakening. I've always been interested in politics, and I would say that initially, I have a very, very old, very, very left wing, old school British politics that is
Mm,
no longer currency anymore. The kind of politics that believes in autonomy and freedom and
mm,
serving the British people. I've never mentioned this on my channel, but under Tony Blair many years ago, the government wanted to put in all sorts of restrictions on home education
mm,
to make it much, much harder for families to home educate. My
yeah.
18-year-old and 21-year-old never went to school.
Oh wow.
And I got involved in the campaign to prevent this legislation going through. And I found myself talking to libertarian Tories and really left wing libertarian Labour MPs. They were the
Mhm,
ones who
wow.
were supporting us.
Yeah.
But I don't think left and right applies anymore. It's all about sovereigntists versus globalists, which is what you cover and then
Mhm.
I cover as well. And I think the difference between our channels is mine is a more of a global perspective.
Mhm.
You
Absolutely.
know, and it kind of makes sense that you do US because there's so much going on in the US. It's
Oh
such
my
a big
gosh.
and important nation.
Yeah. Well, and obviously we have Trump. Seems to
Yes.
be, I don't know if people know this, but the globalists don't like him, and he has an outsized impact even on UK and beyond. So, but yeah, obviously I do mostly domestic. It's where I'm at. It's like what I'm passionate about. But I do care about the rest of the world as we're allowed
As
to.
a good human being would.
Yeah, exactly. I love humanity. I love history. As a student of history, I love European history as well because it is our history. At least before 1600 or before 1700 and 76. But but yeah, it's interesting to me. But one of the reasons your channel is one of my favorite channels is because I like getting all those perspectives. I like hearing about what's going on, and I really learn because there's a lot of things that the people on your channel bring in from. You have people who have intel backgrounds, you have military backgrounds, political backgrounds, and they bring in all kinds of different perspectives. But I have disagreements with them too, but that's what's great is because it's in this dialogue, and the way you do it is fantastic. Now I would say that Tom is probably the one I've come to agree with the most. I've just seen so many of his things that he says, and the way he looks at the world seems to really be factoring into what's happening right now.
Mhm.
Seems to have his finger on the pulse so well. But all the others are great as well. And it's funny because originally following I found you because I'd found Tom somewhere else, and so I was looking just for more interviews of him, and your channel came up. This was about 4 years ago, most of the time when you were hiding on Rumble most of the time because YouTube would ban you. but but yeah, it's just so that's where I came to know your stuff as well. And thankfully now YouTube is I haven't had a video taken down or anything in a long time, so it's gotten better.
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
and you're able to stream as well.
yes, no, I noticed that because my original channel is Crypto Rich and Crypto Rich BTC. I shadow banned for years. I had 160 videos deleted off Crypto Rich many years ago because I started off doing crypto stuff. And I've noticed that when Trump was elected, it's not like the censorship has completely disappeared
Hmm.
because on YouTube, I certainly have to say that it's safe and effective, but it's a whole lot less than before.
Yeah.
It's a lot less worse than before. And one thing I want to say, right, is you have Trump as president. Don't you wish you had Keir Starmer running your country? Come on, you're
No,
just a little bit jealous, aren't you?
I'll, I'll be honest. That's a thought I've never had, Rich. Not even once. So Rich, when being in the UK and being somebody, a lot of what's talked about, and most of your guests agree with this line of thinking, though not all, is that there's a big part of this globalist system originates from City of London and this financial system. How when you first were like kind of learning about that, how like was that harder for you to kind of come around to or accept being that you're in UK?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It the other thing that I think that shapes my politics is I was born in Pakistan, came to the UK as a child, so schooled here, which is why I speak English like this,
Mm,
and all my life I've had lies told about me.
mm,
I'm a Muslim terrorist. I hate Christians. I hate white people. I'm a shopkeeper. All sorts of lies being told about me.
mm.
And then growing up in a part of London which had a very large, my school had a very large African Caribbean community, then very large Irish Catholics.
Oh wow.
And so I'd see the lies that are being told about those groups of people as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, this is not true. So then there's natural mistrust of the mainstream media and their lies. So I grew up with that. So it wasn't too much of a stretch. And then I suppose from a left wing background about the evils of British imperialism. So I was willing, yeah, it could be the city of London. Why it was difficult is because it's so hidden.
Yeah.
It's so, and Vivify Mariposa, who's been on my channel a few times, she does this really great blog on Substack, No Filter, Just Facts. And one of the things she said in one of her comments, one of her videos, and you've done some great stuff on City of London, and because I learned a lot from your video, is they learned from the Rothschilds not to be public.
Mm,
So
interesting.
we don't know who runs the
Yeah,
City of
that's true.
London. We
Hmm.
just don't. It's this ephemeral organization, which makes it harder to pin down.
Yeah.
Because what do you mean the City of London? No, no, no. They just do banking and finance. Oh, but when you look into it, oh, oh,
Hmm.
there are
Yeah,
some really nasty, nefarious characters running the show behind the curtains, and we haven't pulled back the curtains yet to see
exactly.
who it is.
100%. This is actually a criticism I get sometimes of people who, they hear me talking about City of London and maybe they're new to my show and they'll be like, name names. I'm like, well, that's the point. We know people who, we know that the Rothschilds, we know like the Rockefellers, we know some people that are kind of like intertwined with it, but we don't know specifically every little thing, and that is by design. And it's more of a system than it is just like a room where all these nasty people sit and dictate the where the world's going back and forth. But we see kind of like some of their proxies, which is EU leadership would be one, and the Davos crowd, and the World Economic Forum. That's all proxies of them.
Yep.
But
And
you know,
NATO,
NATO,
Vanguard, Wall Street,
exactly.
the
We
Federal
can see all
Reserve.
that. Exactly. Yeah. And so that's something we can see, and see some of the characters, but ultimately knowing that as well, like those aren't the leaders. They
Mm,
might have some say in it. They might be uh, uh, they might have like some authority, but they don't have because it's so coordinated. You can tell like this person's saying exactly this person's saying exactly this, and they're countries apart.
yep.
They're different media. So it's like who is actually behind this? We're really witnessing this right now, and the whole like media push in the podcaster world, independent media world, like turning against Trump. They're all saying the same stuff.
Yep.
They all do the exact same thing within like a week of each other. It's
Yep.
wild. They all keep interviewing the same people. So they're not actually in control, because it wouldn't make any sense.
Yes. And that was something in lockdown I noticed. There was no diversity of opinion.
Mm,
Why is this small conservative government here saying and doing the same thing as this left-wing government here?
yeah.
Why is it all the same? Okay, there's obviously got to be somebody above directing them all, that they're all doing the same thing.
Hmm.
There is some underhand scheme. And the other thing that I noticed is, and I like to think I've got better at this. Maybe I haven't, and I'm just fooling myself, right? Is seeing the signs of the City of London at play and suspecting there's there they have got greater influence in greater areas than I know. And then
Oh
I've
yeah.
gone in to investigate and said, oh,
Yeah.
oh. And one of the things that I noticed during lockdown is there were all of a sudden, it seemed like there were all these Indian and Pakistani leaders
Mm,
in Europe running the show.
mm.
All of a sudden, the Home Secretary, Leo Varadkar in Ireland, the Prime Minister of Ireland, and it's like,
Interesting.
and all from elite families from the subcontinent.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how did this tiny, tiny little island rule over such a large nation such as
Hmm.
India? Never mind Australia, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, and all the other places. Well, they did it through fostering proxies.
Rich, are you telling me that Gandhi didn't set India free by starving himself?
Oh God. Oh God. Do you know there are some heroes? There are some heroes of mine that I haven't yet disassembled. So Gandhi, Mandela,
Uh-huh.
they're sort of off limits. I dare not ask Colonel Roxanne Towner Watkins about them. She'll tell me, no, they were all MI6. Oh, bloody hell. Was that a song by the Stranglers? No more heroes. No more heroes anymore.
I mean, it is wild. You can see. I mean, for us, we don't have as many in political power right now, but you can see uh, all the tech companies. The vast majority of them now have Indian, leaders. It's our
Yeah.
CEO, and so there is that takeover, at least attempted takeover, before what's being stopped. We hope, but to your point a few minutes ago, I say this on my show and I say it way too much, but because I think it's just so true, I say once you see it, you can't unsee it because you start seeing all these connections from these sovereign nations, quote unquote, that have their major systems tied directly to London. It's just over and over and over again. I mean, shipping in the in the Strait of Hormuz, Lloyd's of London. I mean, Smartmatic election machines, London. It's just it goes on and on and on. It's like, why? How is there so many ties to this? As you said, little island, unless it makes sense that there are fragments or a system of British Empire, which was at
Yeah.
one point the greatest empire in the world, even more so than Roman, with its reach. That there are remnants of that, and there's a system left in place. And I get people who come at me and say like, oh no, it's Israel, and I'm like, you mean that little place smaller than New Jersey that's been around 80 years? They run everything, or people will be the Vatican. I'm like, okay, I just don't see that. I'm not saying those don't have things that have been played, but there's something behind all that is my point. And I believe the evidence just gets more and more overwhelming the more you look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on Israel, well, Israel was set up because of what Hitler did in the Holocaust, killing 6 million Jews. It's just, no, no, 1917 Balfour Declaration. And
Yeah.
before that, the sponsoring of Theodore Herzl and the whole Zionist movement.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So, and something else I say that people who don't watch my channel may not know.
Mm.
And sometimes my son, who does a lot of the editing, well, he does all the editing, actually says, "Oh, you're not going to mention social work again, are you?" Well, he doesn't get to say what I say on this channel, right? But um, what I do as a social worker is because I've never actually ever seen child abuse happen. I've never seen it
Wow.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I see are the signs,
Hmm.
the red flags, the pointers that all point to this. Oh, there's something going on here. There's something going on.
Hmm.
And it's so then I look at what's going on in the household from all sorts of different angles, from the perspective of the school and the mother and the father and the children, and sometimes the grandparents and the doctors. And so it's the same thing in terms of what's going on in the world. So if I look at it from, well, what Tom Luongo says and what Ian Burlingham says, and then what the Guardian says, I just have to right, what the BBC says. Well, I don't
Yeah.
really go into that, right? And then try and create a picture that is
Hmm.
coherent and plausible and possible.
Yeah.
And I think too many
100%.
people are like this. They're
Hmm.
just like this. No, this is it. This is it. And they can't even conceive of a world outside of of that view. And I may still be like this.
Yeah. Well, I'm
You know,
sure we
you,
all are to some
yeah,
extent.
to some extent, right? So then I got to be willing to entertain ideas
Hmm.
that might seem repugnant even.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what? Not send my kids to school? Seriously? That's
Yeah.
supposed to be better? Oh, let me take a look at that. Oh, it is better.
Hmm.
Is it?
I
Is
mean,
it?
I just
Isn't it, Ace?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I homeschooled my kids as well. Well,
Yeah.
my wife, she did most of it. I'm not gonna take credit, but I just all I
You
did was help make
you
the
can.
decisions.
She's
Yeah,
not here. You can take the credit. And people in the comments
as she comes
should give lots of
storming in the
credit to
door.
Ace. Yeah. Is she watching? Probably
No,
not.
she's not
No, my
watching.
wife doesn't watch my stuff
Yeah,
either
she doesn't.
anymore.
She's like, "You can tell me if something happens," basically.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's fine." But yeah, I completely agree with you because and, one thing I've learned is by studying history, we realize how many things that we take for granted or we assume is normal just isn't. And your
Yeah.
schooling is one aspect of that. The idea that, like, the only way that people should school their kids is public school. Well, that's actually a pretty modern system. That's just not how it used to be. There were different ways of schooling. You could send your kids off to apprenticeships, stuff like that. So there's always been an aspect of society helping educate your kids, but it was never this full controlled system from 5 years old till 18 or beyond until the last 100 years or so.
Yep.
But and that's one thing, like I keep trying to hammer on people is we speaking of this, the myopic lens is our own experience is a myopic lens.
Yes.
I'm 42. I have my own experience, but I got to realize that just because I've experienced something doesn't mean it's overall true. It could be true in my experience. Like, oh, it's today might be the hottest day I've experienced ever in June, but that doesn't mean global warming is real. Just because I'm experiencing it, that it's like you have to look at data that goes beyond. And it's the same thing with these systems we live in. One thing I tell people often is, you grew up Muslim, I grew up Christian, and one thing that's very popular in the Christian world, especially in the West, is this idea that things are getting worse all the time. And I'm like, well, that just doesn't hold up historically. It could feel that way. You might feel like it was
Mm.
worse when you were a kid, but in general, despite the fact we have serious issues, despite the fact it might be worse in your country or your town right now, it doesn't mean worldwide the world's worse. And we have all kinds of data on that, and poverty and eating like food, and that's just one of the things, like learning to think broader. And I had to do that which helped me get to this whole City of London aspect, because at first it was, we just have corrupt politicians.
Mm.
And, I grew up, I've been very involved in politics and studying politics since I was in my teens, just grafted to it. But it was very much Republican versus Democrat. They want more of a socialist type government. We want a smaller government. We think they're crazy. And then it was like, oh, then the Obama stuff started getting really dark. And then Trump came along and started being like, oh, there's like a deep state. There's a lot more going on here. We're being lied to about a lot. And even on that lens, I started pursuing down that, finding out corruption. But it's still like the City of London aspect didn't come along till later. But again, once I saw it, I was like, oh wow,
Mm.
there's a lot here. It's crazy.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Absolutely. And credit to the team at Promethean Action
mhm,
and Tom Luongo and the others of his ilk,
yeah,
like Blaine Holt, for what they're putting out and educating people,
mhm,
because that makes us all rather fortunate. And I think word is getting out about the City of London.
yeah, I think so. It's definitely trending. Um, I see more stuff on it than I mean. I wasn't looking before a couple years ago, so I can I can add that. Maybe there was a lot more awake people than you think, but I think Promethean Action has done a lot of work on this. Uh, I mean, they have probably 10 times the followers me and you have. They reach it's incredible to me. They've been retweeted by Trump. So there's a lot of there, and obviously when Trump retweets that, it makes you think like, oh, they must be onto something. I have a rule of thumb. I like to joke that I predict stuff 96% 0.7% of the time. My predictions are correct, but the truth is like I've told people, I really just learned from Trump, because he really signals a lot of stuff.
He
You,
does.
you know, he's always trying to give us what he can about what's happening and where we're going and what they're trying to do. And I think Tom, to his credit, he wasn't the biggest Trump fan. He voted for him because he was a better option, and then he kind of started seeing more of this City of London stuff as well before I did, and he was like, oh, like, and he's kind of like on that train now too, where it's like if you follow what Trump's saying, you really get an idea of what's happening, or at least what we're trying to accomplish. And that's another thing that I think people are awakening to is in the first term, a lot of people still thought Trump was just a regular politician. And what's always funny to me is when they say he's one of them. I'm like, I don't see any evidence to that. But this term, especially, it's becoming harder and harder to make that argument because things are so ramped up, so different.
Yeah. Well, there is in the UK a lot of criticism of him because he's one of the billionaires. He's
Hmm.
the Epstein class. They include
Hmm.
him in that. he's not doing anything for American people because there's no coverage or
Yeah.
mention of the American system.
Mhm.
Did so,
They don't
like,
cover it here either.
right, okay. So some of my lefty friends who are all for socialism are like, "Oh, no, wait a minute. This guy's actually doing something for the
Mhm.
American working class.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted."
Right. Well, here, I was raised, it's very much just pure capitalism or socialism. They don't talk about the differences. Now, as I've studied, and Promethean Action helped me understand this a little more, and then I've done my own work on it, but studying that, we were never like libertarian capitalists in America.
Hmm.
We didn't act like that at all. It's a mostly capitalist system, absolutely, free market. But we were never opposed to government helping get investing in some areas, defense or railroads and infrastructure, stuff like that. And that was actually always the American system, which is very different than what we're raised on, this left versus right. And as I learn more about like the origins of libertarianism out of City of London kind of connections and origins of communism from the same thing, it makes a lot of sense that they create this like strict left right dichotomy that's it's actually just kind of putting people in their own little bubbles fighting against each other without
Oh,
realizing
yes.
there are different ways. And
Oh,
we
yes.
actually did it before 1913 here in America.
Yep, yep. And the British, the City of London, are very practiced and skilled at that.
Mhm.
And through their proxies, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, all these NGOs that are still being funded by European Union and UK governments, they're
Mhm.
doing the same thing now by stirring the pot, getting the red ants and the black ants to fight each other,
Yeah.
which is the main news, not the way that I've expressed it in the UK right now. And
Mm.
I think people in the US also are keeping an eye on it because it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
You were fortunate enough that Trump closed the borders.
Mhm.
We
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have that. We don't have that yet. What we did have, what we do still have, that Trump is undoing. You had the legacy of Barack Obama. We're dealing with the legacy of Tony Blair
Mm.
because he's the one that restarted the mass immigration,
Interesting.
and then they've just built upon it.
Yeah.
Subsequent governments.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Bush and Blair had their special relationship, right? But you want to speak more to that? How so when did Blair come in? At late 90s or was it early 2000s?
1997,
Okay.
he was elected, and I remember because there was such a positive atmosphere because we'd had 18 years of conservative rule. And while Thatcher, I now think Thatcher did a lot that was right,
Mm,
she was re- followed up by John Major, who was just completely grey,
mm,
just grey in demeanor, grey in politics, grey in expression, just really, really grey, right? Just a grey man.
yeah.
And then we had Tony Blair, and it's like, oh my God, this is such a relief. And remember that song, Things Can Only Get Better, which was his campaign song. And there was such a positive spirit in the nation. And forgive me, Ace, I voted for him first time.
It's okay.
But but that was it. That was it. Because then
Mm,
he started the Iraq War, and he was
yeah.
reviled for that, and he's still reviled. He's still
Really?
really, really. Anytime he posts anything, or somebody posts about him
Mm,
on X, you just see, yeah, this guy should be in the Hague. Oh, he's a war
interesting.
criminal. Even when he switched, I think a fake switch recently, where he's recommending that the government should abandon net zero and reindustrialize the nation. Well, that makes sense, but nobody trusts him. Nobody's gonna listen. Even if he talks sense, he should still be in the Hague for what
Wow.
he did with the Middle East. And while you had Obama running the show, uh, running Biden's presidency,
Hmm.
we have Tony Blair running Keir Starmer's presidency,
That's
prime
so
ministership.
interesting. That's so interesting to me because as soon as you started talking about Blair, I thought of the parallel to Obama. the big difference, the hope and change candidate, inspiring. He convinced Americans. He got like 55% of the vote the first election. That doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
We were so done with Iraq and Afghanistan, and we just had this financial collapse. So he came in. Now, the difference from what you're saying is that Blair is still popular, or I'm sorry, the opposite. Blair is very unpopular, whereas Obama still has this kind of air about him, especially on the left, where a good 80 to 90% of them still think of him as like this great president. And then there's still some Republicans, more of old school establishment type Republicans, who still look at him as like, we didn't like him, but things were more peaceful then. It's like,
Oh yeah, yeah. Things were more peaceful. He dropped
mhm,
more bombs in the in 100 days on Pakistan
mm,
than George Bush did in 8 years, and the
yeah,
U.S. wasn't at war with Pakistan.
hmm,
Of course, he and he was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Obama, which is
yeah,
why he dropped bombs on Syria and Somalia and Sudan and Yemen and Libya and increased troops in Afghanistan and Iraq.
hmm,
I may have missed a few countries that he may have bombed. He
bombed a couple
made a
American citizens.
Oh, yes, yes.
Hmm.
Ordered the execution of American citizens
Yep,
without trial, including a 16-year-old
yep,
whose offense was being the son of an alleged ISIS leader. Well,
hmm,
let's just kill him. The other thing that Obama did that matches what Tony Blair did is weaken the Constitution.
yeah,
Britain does have a constitution. It's not codified in one document.
mm,
It's in several documents, and the difference is we're not taught about it. It's hidden from us.
mm,
So they stopped teaching the 1688 Bill of Rights
yeah,
in in law schools in Britain in the early 70s. So we now have a generation of lawyers and judges that don't know about the Bill of Rights, the English Bill of Rights.
that's insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think the American Bill of Rights can be amended if
Uh,
there's a sufficient majority
our
in
constitution,
Congress and Senate.
it's very difficult, but it can be.
It
You
can be, right?
can, yeah, you can vote for. So it takes 66% of our House and Senate. You know how often that happens, and then 2/3 of the states have to all ratify it. So
Right.
it's really difficult, but it is possible, and it's been done 26 times, 28 times, I believe, in our entire
Okay.
history. Mhm.
The English Constitution, the English Bill of Rights cannot be amended.
Really,
Yeah,
and yet they don't enforce it.
well, it says that Parliament are the representatives of the people.
Hmm.
Parliament cannot pass laws that are to the pejorative of the people,
Mm.
and these rights are for perpetuity.
Oh wow.
And it set up the the governance structure that we
Hmm.
now have. It's not an act. So what happens is, um, I think it's pretty same in the United States, where your Senate and Congress, they discuss stuff and it's a bill and then it gets signed into law by the
Yes.
president and then it's an act. Well,
Yeah.
in the UK, the House of Lords and the House of Commons, they discuss stuff as a bill and then the monarch signs it, gives it royal assent, and then it's an act.
Hmm.
The Bill of Rights is a bill. It's not an act because it wasn't passed by Parliament, it created Parliament.
Interesting.
And then what Blair has done is he's undermined that process, one by setting up a Supreme Court, whereas before the highest court in the land were the law lords, the House of Lords. And
Mm.
the House of Lords, this might seem a little bit um, crazy to you, honorary belligerent Republican types over there, but the House of Lords was largely hereditary peers, lords and dukes, who then get a
Mhm.
say on legislation. And then what's happened is that they have a particular constitutional role to ensure that the Bill of Rights is being preserved.
Hmm.
And the law lords was a group of lords trained in law that was the highest court in the land.
Mm.
Blair replaced the law lords with a Supreme Court which had appointees,
Interesting.
and changed the structure of the judiciary so it can be centrally appointed.
So
So
it's no longer tied to land and heritage, and that's very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you can never be a judge in England because you're not woke enough.
That's
So,
and that's
so
so the Supreme Court in UK is a relatively new.
yeah, it's a Tony Blair innovation in order to bypass the House of Lords. And then the advantage of having hereditary peers, and I never understood this because I wasn't taught the English Constitution, is they're not beholden to anyone.
Mm,
Their job is the preservation of the English legal system and
wow,
the English jurisprudence and English law. That's their job.
interesting.
And because they're independently wealthy and they're tied to the English nation, well, their interest is in preserving that, in
Yeah.
preserving what's great about England.
So it makes absolute sense then that City of London, Tony Blair, would institute a new system to erase that sovereignty, the people most tied to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that then they can then get to say how things go. And of course, I think in your video you covered the role of the remembrancer.
Which one?
The remembrancer
I don't know
in your
that term.
video? Okay, I'll say that. So the remembrancer is a representative of the City of London, and
Mm.
they have a budget, and their job is to monitor and oversee the work of Parliament to
Oh
ensure
yes.
that Parliament
Mhm.
doesn't pass any legislation that's to the detriment of the City of London.
Wow.
You can pass legislation to the detriment of the people, but not the City of London.
So who's really in charge?
That's
That's
right. Who's
isn't that
really
interesting?
and the City of London is a separate entity. It's a separate
Yeah.
nation to the rest to England, to Swenny,
Yeah.
Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland.
And that is where it has something in common with the Vatican.
Yeah.
And it's similar to Washington D.C., although not the same. Whereas because D.C. is not a separate country, basically, it is a separate state in a way. It has no, it's beholden to no state. It's a city that's a city state, but it doesn't get representation in Congress and all that. So it's similar but different. But those are the three big areas: Vatican, City of London, and Washington D.C. that a lot of people believe have been controlling stuff behind the scenes for a while. Whereas, but in my, I contend, based on what I've seen, the City of London is the real instigator behind even what the other two have been doing in many ways,
Yeah.
especially in modern times since the British Empire. And that brings us to Iran right now, as things are ramping up in Iran. Uh, it's very interesting. I've said this many times, but this is the first war America's gotten into that UK, NATO are not thrilled to join us in. You know, they're staying out. And,
Well,
uh,
that's because Keir Starmer is such a principled prime minister,
yeah, he cares about peace so much.
except when it comes to Russia and the British people. Then he has
Mhm.
no principles.
Yeah, and so we've seen in even in this Iran situation, we've seen the shipping from Lloyd's of London, which is direct, like their building is literally in City of London, the square mile. They canceled for the first time in 380 something years all these contracts. Trump has jumped right in with the ability to, we'll insure you guys. And I don't, it's different based on shipping and company whether they went back to Lloyd's or not. But the point is he broke up that monopoly. The OPEC has a lot of, City of London's very interested in OPEC. It helps it manipulate oil prices, so they don't want a part of that being broken up. And yet UAE is now left, and OPEC is no longer what it was. Uh, they have proxy state through Iran, a number one state sponsor of terror. The Khomeinis have multi-billion-dollar real estate empire in London. How's that make sense? If you're this big sanctioned state, you know, uh, it's, again, I say it all the time. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But Trump now, as of, we've been in this push with Iran to end this for a while now, but it's really ramped up since yesterday. And I'm wondering, what are you hearing or seeing from the UK as of right now?
Well, Trump, this is a bit difficult for me to say because I don't pay much attention to the mainstream media. I've said on my channel about looking at the Guardian too long makes my eyes bleed. So then I have to stop. It blurs my vision.
Yeah.
Um, there isn't much love for Donald Trump amongst the establishment
Oh, sure.
because he's not doing as he's told. He's not behaving himself and doing and following the instructions of the City of London. In fact, he's out to undermine the City of London. They're very,
Mhm.
very, very unsettled by that. We don't think that's cricket, dear boy. And then he's I mean he's just insane. He's crazy. He's
Mm.
lost his mind. There's no rationale to it. Nobody knows. One day it's going to be peace, where peace is ready. Now he's going to bomb them, right? They need to. What's that amendment? The 25th Amendment.
Oh, yeah.
They need to bring that in. And this is George Galloway, right? So on the anti-war left, there's no appreciation. He's just a warmonger. He's turned out just like Barack Obama
Okay.
and all the other American hegemonic presidents. He
Mm.
promised no wars. So that's how he's regarded. There's no understanding of what he's doing because the mainstream media is owned by the City of London and its proxies.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right? So they're not gonna post material that's gonna expose them
Mhm.
themselves, right? And then a lot of the independent media, and this is something that I think you give more coverage to, that and Tom mentions this as well, that a lot of the independent media, like he asserts that Tucker Carlson,
Mhm.
Candace Owen, they all
Yeah.
turn out to be operatives. Now,
100%.
I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm not in a position to argue against
Sure.
it. It's
Yeah.
certainly possible and plausible. The other thing that's also possible and plausible is they're not subscribing to your channel and my channel and Promethean Action and Tom Luongo and Dangerous Intellectuals. That's what they should do.
Yeah,
So,
right?
Tucker, if you're watching, you should hit the subscribe and comment button.
Don't think that's gonna be happening, but,
You don't think he's gonna? Oh, okay. We
you know
can live in hope.
but I'd take the promotion, I'm not gonna lie. So, you know,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and, Colonel Watkins, who you have on a lot, she talks about a lot of the CIA operations, and we know about, like, Mockingbird, which was the media operation, but what most people don't know and what I didn't know, like, until I studied it in the last couple years, was the CIA's connections to MI6 and how
Yeah.
MI6 really started the whole idea of the CIA and helped us build it up, and basically you could make the argument as a proxy of it, at least was for quite some time. In fact, and this is very interesting, this happened this week, Mike Pompeo, our former CIA director under Trump, he was the first director under Trump, he admitted, just as when he came into the office, he was celebrating the death of some MI6 leader and in memoriam, and he admitted that when he came in as CIA director, MI6 immediately contacted him to congratulate him, and then he says in the post, for the first few weeks, as MI6 helped me get my CIA up and running, basically, and I was like, why would we
Wow.
work with a foreign government's intel agency to get up and running with the new regime of the CIA? I mean, it's right there. It's in an X post. He hasn't taken it down. It's wild. It's to me, I'm like, that is a crazy thing to admit
Yep. And doesn't the
if you know
MI6
what you're
have
looking
a
for. It's right.
MI6 have the seventh floor of the NSA building to themselves or something like that? I've heard.
Oh man, I've heard that before, but I haven't investigated it to see if it's true.
Well, you need to get a lift.
What a
You need
shock.
you need to get in the building, get a lift up to the seventh floor of the NSA office, and then come back and let us know.
Once I see it's everybody just sitting around having tea, I'll know.
That's right. Would you like a cup of tea, old chap?
There's no coffee on this floor. It's absolute proof. But to that point of the media, though, if CIA is working that closely with MI6, MI6 directly tied to City of London, it's just that kind of thing where it's like, oh, it makes sense. We go one through another. Which, by the way, speaking of Candace, her husband is the son of a House of Lords member who has MI6 ties. So know, you can you guys can do with that as
Yes.
you want.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But for everybody watching right now, thank you guys. We know I just started off right into the talk today, but if you don't mind, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and please check out Rich's channel. It's in the description below. And for you guys watching, since this is live, if you do have any questions, comments, please tag me in it so I can see it, and maybe I can get a few questions on before Rich leaves here. But anyways, going back, Rich. So there you go, guys. Thank you for that. Thank you for your attention to this matter, as Trump would say. So Rich, when you were growing up in the UK, and you said for you the City of London idea wasn't too difficult for you to come around to because of British imperialism and actually your left wing stance on that when you were younger. Uh, was it easy for you to kind of connect dots, or were you actually seeing aspects that made you think like, oh yeah, that makes sense based on what I'm already seeing?
I think somebody else raised it. I can't remember who first raised it, and then I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. I mean,
Mm,
during the whole COVID episode, I was searching for so much material in independent media on Telegram, and I came across all sorts of wacky ideas.
hmm.
Some which I don't think are wacky anymore, like chemtrails. At
Yeah.
first, I was like, and then others like the flat Earth. Please, please, no, not that one, right? And then also I got to say, I haven't had him on my channel. Maybe one day I will. But I used to listen to Jim Willie a lot
Okay.
in 2011, right? And the man's wild. He's wild, and he talk about pedophilia amongst the elites and stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Let me listen to what he says about gold and silver and stuff,
Uh-huh.
right? That's what I'm here for, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then it starts seeping out.
Mm,
It starts seeping out. It's like, okay, well, let me just have a look at this. Well, this makes sense. And then I know it's not too big a conceptual leap that
mm,
ISI, the Pakistani intelligence service, will be connected to MI6.
mm,
Well, that makes sense,
yeah.
right? And then so yes, connecting the dots and everything, and I voted for Brexit. I still stand for Brexit, and I
Mm.
came across something that said that the European Union was actually set up by the CIA. It's a CIA project.
Oh wow, interesting.
I didn't dig into it, but it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
And then talking to Colonel Roxanne Tanner Watkins off camera, she pointed to some evidence and stuff like that confirmed that point of view. Now, is it true? In reality, I don't know.
Mm, mhm.
Just like when I go into a house to investigate child abuse, did the child abuse happen
Yeah.
like I say it did? The reality is, I don't know.
Yeah.
But a lot of it makes sense.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
coheres.
Yes. Yeah, it's like we
Yeah.
don't have the smoking gun evidence, but
I think we
the
do.
well, okay.
I think we do, but it
But
doesn't necessarily prove it. It could be there
yeah,
might be some other
maybe that's
there
the way
might
to
be
say
some
it.
other explanation, or it might be that the British ruling class have realized the error of their ways,
Mhm.
gave all gave up their colonies and let them be free and said, "Look, we're not going to be bad people anymore." Don't laugh, it's possible.
We can hope. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like the pushback, I would like to believe that. Obviously, I think we all would, but the craziest thing with like, since Trump came on the scene is the how interconnected the opposition seems to be. And that's one of those things where like the grip hasn't been loosened yet, right? To and again, whether it is the actual City of London or something a little bit deeper than that, maybe we're just one step closer figuring it out. It's like we went, at least in my journey, it was like, okay, I learned there was an actual deep state, and I learned it was tied to our intel agencies, and so and they were controlling politicians. So that's a good step forward, right? and now we can see like, oh, now we can see all the City of London stuff, the system. All right, so maybe it stops there. Maybe that's whoever's behind City of London, the actual leaders, bankers, whatever it is that runs that. Maybe that is them, or maybe there's one other step we just haven't seen yet. I will say that to your point earlier, you said the whole City of London stuff seems to be rising up, and we're starting to see more of it. It's really interesting to me that now, as this is ramping up, as more people seem to be waking up to it, um, now the influencer types are making a big push to embrace Russia and get us all on the oh Russia's behind it all thing again.
Oh God.
Because as they were getting as
No,
they were
I just
getting
got to ask. Sorry,
exposed, oh go
forgive
ahead.
me, Ace. Did Putin make you say that just now?
I can neither confirm nor deny if I receive $7,000 a month from Putin. but it was so interesting to me because just last week Candace Owens flies off to Russia. She says she's going to sightsee with her family, and then she's on all this Russian media. And at the same time, we have Marjorie Taylor Greene celebrating Russia, Glenn Greenwald, and all these other people who have been in this kind of like sphere, all of a sudden talking about how great Russia is. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. Now, Tom's been calling it out as the Alexander Dugin character, who is called Putin's brain, even though there's no evidence him and Putin are close. But is he a City of London plant in Russia? But it sure makes it look to a lot of other people like, oh, we're going back. This is the Soviet Union all over again. They're the one controlling the influencers. And to me, it looks like a fake out. But I did think it was very interesting that that happens just as the City of London narrative starts to be rising up, because they don't like being seen.
Yeah,
To your point at the beginning with the Rothschilds idea.
yeah, yeah. So another psyop that's in play.
Mm-hmm.
Another psyop. Here we go. Here we go. I
Yeah.
want to. I'm actually looking through some of the comments, and there's
Yes.
something that I want to say about another psyop, and it's
Mm,
only just occurred to me talking to you and reading the comments that this is a psyop. So let me say a few things. My brother is a well, he's a dean now or
mm,
something, right? And he's an author, and he writes on Islamic politics.
mm,
And he's also an immigrant like me, my older brother, and his wife is Jewish. And my wife is Scottish Christian.
mm.
And there was no pushback from our family in Pakistan about this.
Yeah.
None.
Interesting.
And the psyop is about Islam being an enemy,
Mm,
just like the Russians are an enemy. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Wahhabis, that the British stoked and developed
mm,
in order to undermine Islam, in order to have the children of Abraham, this group of children of Abraham, fight the Zionists,
mm-hmm,
who the British also created,
mm,
corrupted, those children of Abraham, to fight the Christian Zionists, whom the British also corrupted as children of Abraham. So you had
yeah.
these children of Abraham fighting each other, making it easier for the City of London
Mm-hmm,
to profit from that division and from that conflict.
mm,
In Islam, Jesus is a prophet.
mm-hmm,
Muslims believe that he will return when Archangel Gabriel blows his horn.
mm,
We believe in the coming of the Messiah, and it will be Jesus. Mary is revered as a prophet in Islam.
mm.
Peace be upon both of them. And Imran, if I remember this correctly, was the father of Mary.
Yeah.
And all these other names that are out there and about there. So like Imran Khan, the
Mm,
prime minister who's in prison, was named after the father of Mary.
mm,
So in Islam, we recognize all the prophets of the Jews. We recognize all the prophets of Christianity, but the British don't want us united.
mm,
And I personally, as a Muslim, am appalled and offended by the way that Christianity is being desecrated
mm,
and destroyed in Europe, in the UK, in Ireland.
mm-hmm.
A pox on the houses of those that are doing that.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say about that psyop.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad you brought that up, Rich, because I am a Christian, and on the American side of things, uh, our exposure to Islam has been fairly limited to the bad stuff. Okay,
Right.
the stuff that is, and it's like whether we agree or disagree on our actual theologies. In my experience, like what I've learned is that most of the Islamists, like, they don't want all this. However, that push is major, and I can't trace all of it to City of London, but I can tell you that, like, I can see the Middle East that has definitely been proxy warred by City of London and others. That is absolutely true. So whatever is there that can be brought violence out of, that has been abused and used and triggered over and over and over again. And as Trump is proving to us, it is possible to have peace in the Middle East if you get economic, and we can figure something out here, you know.
Yes.
And and so, like, yeah, I mean, you and I have had many discussions, and I've never been like, oh, Rich is is a Muslim. I can't speak to, like, no, you're one of the most gentle souls I can talk to. So it is important to have these conversations to realize there are things like that. I mean, that are being used against us, and we can have, and I'm sure there's Muslims who'd say, like, no, we're doing this for jihad or whatever, and they don't know why they're doing it, or other than they have that one little thing they might choose,
But
and
it, but
then
it, but it, but
existing Christians who did it in the
it's like
past.
sorry, it's like the woke secular Christians.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
They've been psyoped. It's
Yeah.
like the Zionists. I said
Hmm.
they've been psyoped.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I interviewed Rabbi Beck
Hmm.
on my channel, and he wouldn't do it over Zoom. I had to go and meet him in North London, and he's dressed formally like an Orthodox Jew, and
Hmm.
and I got connected to him because my cousin would go to the pro-Palestinian demos in London. These Orthodox Jews on a Saturday would walk from North London into central London to
Hmm.
participate in the demonstrations. And then they take the bus back or the tube back because they could. It was after sunset, right? So they're
Yeah.
observing the Sabbath. And he was the one wearing the pro Palestine badge, not me. And I said to him, I said, what's your solution to this? He said, one state where Jews, Muslims, and Christians live together in peace, as they did before the imperialists deposited this festering sore
Mm.
and divided groups of people up in order to rule over them easier and have them fighting each other.
Hmm. Interesting.
And then
Yeah.
he said to me, he said, where's the largest Jewish community in the Middle East outside of Israel? And I didn't know. He said, Iran,
Hmm.
where they get support from the government. The government built a kosher hospital for them. I think there's something like 100 synagogues. They
Mm.
have a representative in the parliament, even though their population isn't large enough to warrant one.
Mm.
But they're people of the book. Now,
Uh,
where Muslims and Christians do differ, it now for me it's a minor difference. For you, it might be a big deal, but we don't have to fight about it. We just don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. We
uh-huh.
think God is divine and God doesn't beget children.
Uh-huh.
Right? Now you have a different take on it. No problem. Have a great Christmas. We can still live in peace.
Yeah. Well, I've been to Jerusalem, and for those who don't know, old Jerusalem, the original city, what's left of it, I should say, but because it's been rebuilt so many times, so it's not like this is the Jerusalem from 300 BC. This is the Jerusalem rebuilt after 70 AD when it was destroyed. But it's an old ancient city. It's thousands of years old. And you go there and it's a square mile, which is interesting. Square mile, City of London's a square mile, Vatican. But you go in there and it's divided into four sections. And the four sections are quadrants. There's a Jewish quarter, Islamic quarter, and then there's an Armenian quarter and a Christian Catholic. It's not Catholic. But it is Christian.
Orthodox?
Might be Orthodox.
Right.
The Armenian quarter is completely closed off. You can't go in there unless you're Armenian Christian. And I
Mhm.
think that happened after the Armenian genocide, in the early 1900s. But you can walk the other three freely. And I'll tell you, like, it's interesting. You walk into one and you can notice a little bit of difference. The food starts smelling a little different. There might be some different, like, other odors from incenses or whatever. They might walk their goats differently. but but you can walk through all three and everybody.
Hold on, hold on. You're not going to get away with that, right? I'm going to look at that past. That either Putin made you say that, or that City of London propaganda. Everybody in the comments, let us know, how does a Jew walk a goat differently from a Muslim, walk a goat differently from a Christian?
I threw that out there so everybody can do with that as they want. but it's but it but it, they all do live in peace. All the fighting in Israel, it's never from within Israel. It's always the outsiders coming in, or
Right.
Israel fighting outward. But within, they've figured it out, and they live within their disagreements. It's very interesting. And when I went there, I'd just never seen anything like it. So there is a difference from how Americans look at it versus how the Middle Easterners look at it, the ones that have kind of figured something out versus the ones that are terrorist states, that have their proxy stuff going on, like Iran, or places run by Hezbollah, or Houthis, that sort of thing. So yeah, just to speak to all that, and we don't have to go too much further into it, but just to put it out there, like, it it is possible. It is possible to make something work. Now, what we have to
Yeah.
figure out is, where the shared values are. And that's, like, I think a lot of the people that have been, say, coming across our border are from the more, like, extreme, what has been pushed, and that's what we're so there's a lot of fear here in America over that. And I think you
Yeah.
see it in your borders as well, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, you're proving it yourself as a Muslim versus the Muslims that are coming across and doing terrible things to the girls there and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that's.
Oh, listen, let me just say that as a Pakistani, the Pakistani rape gangs happened.
Hmm.
Absolutely happened. It's appalling, absolutely disgusting and appalling. And the lie that we've been told in Britain is that the police didn't do anything about it because they didn't want to be afraid of being racist. And I say BS to that,
Mm.
because there's nothing more racist than dropping bombs on brown people in other countries. And
Yeah.
the British had no compunction about doing that, right?
Oh
Nothing
yeah.
more racist than killing 20 million Indians when you're or 6 million Congolese like the Belgians did.
Hmm.
No, they didn't do anything about it because they were complicit.
Hmm.
Those poor underclass white girls were picked on for a reason.
Hmm.
Those were crimes of race, crimes of sex, and crimes of class.
Mm.
And those girls were being supplied to local elites and probably national elites. Now, I don't have any evidence for this. I do about local elites, by the way.
Sure.
It's just that how that's the only way they could have got away with it
Mm.
for so long in such a large scale. Now,
Yeah.
does that kind of shit go on in other communities?
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Catholic schools and nunneries in Ireland.
Mm.
The I've heard about this Jewish sect in Central America being caught out doing this. Right? It happens all over the world. In what happened in with the Pakistani rape gangs is that it was um, the Pakistan in northern England. The Pakistanis that came over are Mirpur. They're from
Mm.
Mirpur, which is a rural part of Pakistan,
Yeah.
and they're a very closely connected community, and they all settled in these northern towns, so they all know each other. It's like, Ace, if you were to move from North Carolina to Burkina Faso,
Hmm.
and then you met another North Carolinian
Yeah.
in Ouagadougou,
Yeah.
right? You'd
Yeah.
connect with them.
Uh-huh.
You would just connect with them, right?
Yeah.
Because okay, there's somebody who understands me, same background. We got shared experience and everything, right? So
Sure.
that
Sure.
was happening in northern England, and so this community that moved over en masse,
Hmm.
very close knit community. I don't know how this shit started. They got involved in it, connected to local labor parties who
Yeah.
were using these people for votes
Mm.
so that they could get their MPs elected, which is why the Labour Party, including Andy Burnham, who could be the next Prime Minister of England after Starmer, didn't
Mhm.
do anything about it when it was raised to him. And
Yeah.
Starmer didn't do anything about it either. And
Mm.
he knew about it, but then he didn't do anything about Jimmy Savile or Mohammed Al Fayed either.
Mhm.
Or the Ukrainian rent boys, which isn't being covered by the MSM, right? So
Oh.
so it's appalling and disgusting how it
Mhm.
what they've done, and then how it's been covered up
Sure.
by the
Oh,
establishment,
yeah, they
and
are
then
so
and
bad.
then another device in order to shit stir between the ants, the groups of ants.
Mhm.
And I would say, if people are, if I am anti-Russian, it's because
Mhm.
I've fallen for a psyop.
Yeah.
If I am anti-Islam, it's because I've fallen for the lies that have been fed to me by the algorithm. If I'm anti-Jewish, which I'm not, I've fallen for the psyop, which conflates Zionism with Judaism.
Mm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
that
what I
is
would say to that.
yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that, and it's like, we're all people, we're all figuring it out, and I saw in the chat, like, "Listen, guys, Rich and I are not here to debate each other's religion and convert each other."
No,
That's
no.
that's not what we're doing. We're
we're
having
here to create a world of peace where human
we're
beings honor human beings.
Yeah, we're on shared values, and like, and that's what and on a shared enemy we're coming against, and that's what we're talking about. Like where Rich and I have disagreements, that's not our focus right now. If everything else in the world gets fixed, and then maybe Rich and I will sit down and be like, okay, why do you believe
Okay,
this?
come
But
on, come on.
that's not the point of this show. That's not the point of this conversation. We're focused on what we agree on and what we're moving forward to. And it's important to know that there are many people who have different backgrounds, different belief systems that right now, whatever it is that's happening in the world, what I believe God's doing is exposing this. And even Rich is nodding his head. Like we both believe there's something probably divine happening right now that is
Yes.
breaking apart this globalist world system. And if whether like in like the scriptures I believe in or as Rich believes, like one thing I think we agree on is that God can use anybody to do whatever he wants with his for his purposes, and a lot of times it doesn't make sense to the people.
Yep.
And what I'll say right now is like Rich and I can come together, a Christian and a Muslim, and say we both recognize there's an evil system right now trying to destroy the world, and we believe it's being fought back against. And we believe, in our small part, we're a part of that. But the bigger part is whatever Donald Trump's doing and the people working with him and other great who I believe to be modern heroes are doing. And that's the focus right now. So everybody else getting caught up in all that other stuff like right now, it's like that's just not what we're doing.
No, it's not.
I just want to address that being my
I
channel.
j- no, Ace, thank you so much. And I forgot to say, I went to Quaker meetings for 10 years.
Yeah, this I love that story.
Loved it, absolutely loved it for 10
Mhm.
years. It's like listening to Jesus's message, which is love. And what you and I want is the same thing. We want to be able to live in peace, provide for our families, and have a good life.
Yeah,
And the globalists, what we don't want is eating bugs, owning nothing,
yeah,
and
yeah. No,
at
we
each other's throats.
we don't want that. Let's get to free first. And so the last thing I wanted to ask you, Rich, before you go, because I know you got to go here soon, is one of the things I think that I heard from you that I thought was very powerful was how you talked about your social work and how you deal with like a case and how it kind of reminded you of seeing how like the globalist system works, the City of London system works. And I remember you saying one time like there was one particular case where um, the guy had like a bunch of people supporting him and it made it seem like everybody else or the woman was crazy, but you had to dissect that. And I wanted to kind of just ask you about like how you use that to kind of see what's happening behind the scenes, that experience you had, and how it became kind of aware to you, because I think it's because the way you deal with it in social work, and I haven't done social work, but I did counseling for a long time as a pastor. And
Mhm.
so there were some similarities of having to weed through it. And then maybe if you could just leave like a couple tips on seeing through red flags or lies, like that kind of thing, just from what you experience. I'd love to know if you have any insight to that whatsoever, or just tell your story.
Well, I think one of the things I'm trained in the methodology of Landmark,
Mm,
which is all about how conversations grow and develop discourses.
yeah.
So all you and I are doing are having a conversation, and then we're swayed by particular conversations, and
Hmm.
and the conversations that we're swayed by, that we're influenced by, that we've adopted, are respectful of each other,
Hmm.
right? So we can have this conversation. Um, and I think with regards to this particular family, or what I deal with as a social worker, is I look at how abusers groom. They
Mm.
groom their victims.
Hmm.
They groom the people around them so they can carry on doing that. And it happens at a household level. So with the perpetrator, for example, a perpetrator of domestic abuse, grooming the family around him, grooming his victim, grooming the children,
Mm.
so that he can carry on with that activity. And then at a larger fractal level, we're just being groomed.
Mm.
We're being groomed all the time.
Yeah.
Like roll, line up, roll up your sleeves to have your 27th booster,
Mm.
or Putin bad,
Yeah.
or Islam evil, or well, Orange Man bad, Orange Man really bad,
Yeah.
right? We're
Hmm.
just being groomed. And I know you got a beard and everything, but you might feel a bit feminine today. Perhaps you're a woman, Ace.
Yeah.
That's me trying to groom you a little, right? Very subtly, so you don't notice.
I there was no temptation. I don't know. It
Oh,
happened.
okay. Okay, we'll speak again next time I'm on.
Sounds good. Well, Rich, I'm gonna let you go. You gave me an hour, and I really, really appreciate it, guys. Please listen. The link is in the description for Rich's channel. He is fantastic. His guests are fantastic. If nothing else, you will get just world class conversation between him, his guests, the guests with each other. Just you'll learn so much. What disagreements or not, it's good to hear this stuff, because I will say this: everybody I've heard on Rich's channel is a patriot, whether I agree with them or not. They
Yeah.
want we want most of the same things. And so it's worth listening to them, how they approach it. And I really do think it's one of the best channels on YouTube, Rich. And I thank you for what you're doing.
Ace, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for all the times you've been on my channel and all the times that you will be on my channel.
You're welcome. I look forward to it.
All right. All the best. Thank
All
you,
right. Take
everybody.
care, Rich.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. All right, guys. Thank you guys for that. The show is not over. All right, I'm going to keep going. We have a lot of news to get into, so that was that's just thing. So if you guys, I heard other people earlier. Some people were like, "Hey, we want the news." Well, the news part's coming. The rest of the show is still about to happen. All right, so don't worry about that. But please take a second, hit that like, hit that subscribe before I get into it. I do want to come into the chat real quick, make sure I don't, I respond to some tagged stuff. I did see a super chat, so I want to make sure that doesn't go unread, because I always guarantee super chats will get read. Let's see here. There it is. Janet 6474 sent $10 super chat. Thank you, Janet. Says, two of my favorite people. You guys show us truth can be told without anger and hostility. Thank you for all you're doing. You're so welcome, Janet. Thank you for supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate it. As always, you guys know the rules. Hit the, please be a part of the chat. Tag me if you want my attention. I do my best to find it, but if you want to support the channel through super chats and also be guaranteed to have something read, you can always do that as well. And I do want to say, guys, listen, I know My chat is mostly Christian and just like myself. And I love that. Obviously, I believe, and like the Christian faith is the truest faith. But I want to say that, when I have somebody on, whether I agree with their faith or not, I'm going to treat them respectfully, and I'm not here to have a debate with them and convert them or in front of you guys. That's not what I'm doing. I'm focused on the shared values, shared thing we're going after. All right. And so regardless of what we think, that's first of all, if you disagree with somebody like that, it's not effective to just go blasting them about what you don't agree with them on. It's just not effective. If you actually want to have influence in their life, it's just not an effective way to do it. Trust me. I was a pastor for 10 years and been in the church my whole life. We love people. We take them where they're at, and we get close to them just as Jesus did. And then in the right circumstances, if they start awakening to it, then we guide them. That's it. And so we're not going to that's not something I'm ever going to do here. All right. In fact, I'm more likely to argue now. If I ever have a debate, that's one thing, but if I have a guest on, but I'm much more likely to argue with people in my own faith, because we're already brothers and sisters. We're family in that sense. And so we can hash out things, which is a lot more different. Okay. So just wanted you guys to know that, because I did see a lot of comments and I did think some of it was kind of just disrespectful, just to be completely honest. Because Rich is a wonderful person, a great guy. And I really appreciate him taking his time to come on here and getting to know me, and letting me be on his channel, stuff like that. So Katie Cat, thank you for the stars, and Genghis, thank you for the stars as well. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your gifts. But all right, 19 Republicans vote against FISA extension. Well, I mean, I think they're trying to make a point to Trump. We don't want to do. We don't want to do. We don't want Pulte. That's what they're doing. Okay, so that's what it comes down to. All right. Let's see here. Anything else for now? Did I get tagged on anything I missed before we get into the news? Guys, we got big things to talk about. We have the flippin' globalists going nuts with as Trump is ramping things up in Iran and bringing it to an end game. So we have to talk about it. We absolutely got to talk about it. So let's start getting into it, shall we? Let me pull this up. And I need to, sorry guys. It's going to be a little different looking today because I'm on a different program since I hosted Rich. But first of all, anybody see that Knicks game last night? That was unbelievable. I'm an old basketball fan. I absolutely love basketball. The NBA ticks me off, drives me crazy, but I love basketball, and that game was unbelievable. And just saw some. Jerry Seinfeld did some stuff last night that made me laugh, and I was gonna share it for a second right here. Just see how screwed up this is. Let me enlarge. This is fun. So different than my other setup, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. Anyways, Jerry Seinfeld coming out of the game last night. Somebody tried to mess with him, and this was just hilarious.
Oh, Jerry Seinfeld. What up, Seinfeld? What up? Can we get a free Palestine? Can we get a free Palestine? Come on, give us one free Palestine.
It doesn't exist.
I was an old Seinfeld fan. That made me laugh. So, anyways. All right, guys. So for those paying attention, last night things really ramped up with Trump and Iran. And this was in response. Trump promised us there was going to be strikes, and then he followed through. Last night we started attacking Iran again, and it started as proportional, and now Trump has let us know that this is actually about bringing the full endgame to Iran. So we are in the endgame. This is going to be about ending this. This is now Trump has let us know we are striking them until we get a deal. That's basically where we're at right now. So he's done being messed around with. And here's Jesse Waters giving us a little breakdown on it last night.
Fox News alert: for the second night in a row, the United States is bombing Iran. Not in retaliation for them downing the Apache, but to pump up the pressure on negotiations. CENTCOM hitting all targets along the Strait of Hormuz, islands, and military installations on the coast, including air defense systems, radar, and drone command and control units. Sources say the president's considering an operation that is big in scale but short in duration.
You posted this morning about Iran, and you said that they've taken too long to get to a deal. I want to make sure I quote you correctly. You said that now they will have to pay the price. Yeah. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
Last night's airstrikes were in response to an Iranian drone hitting a U.S. helicopter. The fact that the two pilots survived and were rescued was a miracle.
The president called it a miracle. This drone hits the Apache helicopter, lodges between the two pilots. It's on fire, and there's a massive amount of heat coming out of the drone, but it doesn't explode. And these pilots very quickly.
All right, we heard about this last night. Let's get to the strikes where we're at now, because this is what's important looking forward.
The ceasefire barely holding. CENTCOM forces disabled another blockade runner in the Gulf of Oman. Iran's broke, and they're still trying to slip through the embargo. So a U.S. aircraft fired a precision missile right into her engine room. That's 8 ships blasted back and 134 ships turned around. The blockade is undefeated. Plus, they keep attacking choppers, tankers, and Israel. Trump's still pushing for a peace deal, but the Iranians are testing his patience. Here's where negotiations stand. Remember, in late May, when the president went into the Situation Room to pour over Iran's latest proposal, we were this close to a deal, but Trump sent it back with 2 small amendments. The Iranians had to destroy the uranium in front of the Atomic Energy Committee within 60 days and agreed and never told us straight. Only then would the president unfreeze some funds. These were last-minute tweaks. The deal was almost done, but the president's been waiting for 2 weeks for a response. 2 weeks.
Yeah, so the word is that the Ayatollah hasn't even seen it yet, the new guy. That's what they were starting to let out, is that they aren't even presenting the deal now from the Trump administration, which is one of the reasons it's stalling. And Trump finding out about this is pissed. He's done. So he goes on to say we were going to strike last night, and now it happened. It's our biggest strike since, now this is 2 nights in a row, remember. It's our biggest strike since the beginning. But we hit them hard, and then last night we get the latest in a phone call with President Trump about what the Iranians are asking for. Listen to this.
Situation Room overseeing these U.S. military strikes against the Iranian regime. He was joined by Vice President J.D. Vance and Special Envoys Kushner and Witkoff. The president telling Fox News at that time 49 Tomahawk missiles had been used against targets in Iran, along with fighter jets that were bombing positions about 40 miles outside of Tehran and also along the southwest coast of Iran that sits along the Persian Gulf. The president said, "We hit them very hard tonight." He described the strikes as vicious and violent. He said the bombing will stop shortly, but if they don't sign an agreement, the president said, quote, "We'll bomb the S out of them tomorrow." And so ultimately, the president is leaving the military option on the table. President Trump describing what it was like inside the Situation Room. He tells Fox News the Iranians called him and asked him to stop bombing. I asked him if he spoke directly with officials in Tehran. He said yes, top officials there. similar people that he's been dealing with before, trying to get this deal across the finish line. He says this ceasefire has been the most violated ceasefire in the history of the world. And Vice President J.D. Vance told me they are dealing with both moderate and more extreme voices inside of Iran.
So 49 Tomahawk missiles fired last night. And everybody I've looked at and talking about the strike says that what happened is we are taking out their defensive capabilities. That's what we're doing. And it's a precursor to a larger strike. And now Trump's saying that today the strikes are going to get much, much worse. It lines up exactly with what all the reporting is. Now, the technology we're starting to send out there is crazy. In fact, we have this story about these fully autonomous drones killing human soldiers for the first times. And it says, we launch it, know everything will be dead. Everything will be found there in this particular area will be dead. And we just launched those for the first time. So this is all out. This is the American, we use ceasefire to shore up, to get ready for what comes next. And then we've gone full ham on them. Now, in all of this, Trump dropped this other crazy bomb yesterday that tells us, at least in my opinion, that he's been in control this whole time, despite what it's looked like, the back and forth, the deal, no deal, all that's made him look bad. But as always, his entire presidency, both terms, Trump proves again he's willing to look weak for a time in order to pull the rug on you. And yesterday he pulled a major rug on the globalists and on Iran when he announced this crazy. I mean, this is wild. This explains completely why oil prices haven't spiked, despite what Alex Jones and all these people have told us was going to happen. Look at this. Trump truthed this out after also saying it in a Q&A yesterday. It says, last month, I directed our great U.S. military to execute a secret mission to support oil tankers and other commercial ships through Hormuz. Today, I'm pleased to announce this effort has resulted more than 100 million barrels of oil making its way through the strait into the open market. More than 200 commercial ships have safely traveled through the strait. This wildly successful effort is because the United States controls the Strait of Hormuz, not Iran. Their military is defeated, their economy is lost. It's over for Iran. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Do you understand what a big deal this is? That Trump just proved that everything that people were freaking out about, it didn't matter. The strait, we've been in full control of it for even the last month, an entire month. Maybe it's been 5-6 weeks. We've been in full control of the strait. 100 million barrels have passed through. This, along with the new pipelines being built to get stuff out, the ways the other countries have been figuring out how to get the oil out. But Trump, man, no wonder he hasn't been worried. No wonder. Because the one thing that creates political pressure is the oil prices. And Trump just proved that they had this handled the whole time. No wonder oil has gone down over 10% in the last month. I think it's down like 15% now. Oil has been declining. This is amazing that Trump pulled this off. All right. So with all this going on, I mean, we're learning like, so much they said wouldn't happen. Trump's just been in control this whole time. It's pretty incredible. I mean, as Tom Luongo says here, like, look at this chart. Corn prices have fallen now to an 8-month low of $4.17 a bushel. Quite a contrast with the apocalyptic warnings of food crisis, shortage, and famine made by many armchair experts. Incredible stuff. They told us that fertilizer was going to go insane. They told us that the food shortages, there's going to be food shortages. Oil was going to spike to $200. They told us the craziest stuff, and none of it's come true. None of it's come true. And now, with all this going on, everybody freaking out, the last several months, I mean, Tom Longo says great here. I was told there'd be food shortages. Grain prices boring for a while isn't to say reorganizations won't create cost problems later. This is why you have stores for times like this. If shortages in corn come to fruition, it'll be even more reason to get rid of gas price manipulation scheme called RINS, Renewable Ident Number S, which are ethanol blending credit refiners that they have to pay at the pump, make gasoline pure again. I love it. So with all this going on, we find we're just way more in control of the situation than ever let on. Trump threatening to bomb tonight. And now, guys, this is live, just came in. Trump just truthed that we might have a deal. Here's the latest truth from President Trump. Based on the fact discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussions and final points have been in concept and detail approved by all parties, including U.S., Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. Naval blockade will remain in full force in effect until transaction finalized. Time and place of the signing to be announced shortly. Holy smokes. This is huge. I mean, to say that all these nations are involved with this, guys, this doesn't happen in one night. I hate to tell you, for anybody who just thinks like this was just gonna just miraculously occurred because we struck last night. No, man, is it me, or does this look like this was all lined up for a while? I mean, think about how this happened. We've been going back and forth all this whole time. People have been dooming the economy is going to crash, oil price is going to spike, food shortages, other places are freaking out. The mainstream media is telling us Trump has no chance here. Iran can hold out forever. This is going to crush Trump in the midterms. Iran's winning. They got the super duper secret missiles they're holding on to. They can do this. There's nothing wrong in their economy. And now it looks like this might be finally official. Saying that everything's approved is nuts. And it makes me wonder if they already had everything lined up. And then last night, what it did is it took out some of the IRGC defenses, and now they were forced to the table. He cowed them with more coming. So very interesting. If all these countries are signed off on it, which also looks like this could be the expansion coming for the Abraham Accords he wants with a lot of these countries. But if all these countries agree to it, they're going to help keep Iran in check. So we'll all be monitoring Iran to keep them, make sure they hold on to this. So this is wild. This is absolutely wild that they just brought this up. So crazy, man. I got this is happening live. This changed my whole segment, but that's totally okay. But look, just last night they were putting out this is Economist, which is a total deep state rag magazine. They were putting out stuff like this last night. He must swallow his pride and accept a deal worse than the pre-war status quo. Trump just rug pulled these people so hard, man. All the haters. It looks like he's about to do it again. Pretty crazy. Now I had this great post from last night that I wanted to share where this guy put this together. He says, "Is this the end game? Trump launched 49 Tomahawks, dismantled Iranian defenses, seized control of skies, revealed the real signal. Iran called asking him to stop." Read that again. Iran's publicly firing missiles, privately seeking off-ramp. This is what happens when a regime runs out of good options, yet it's much deeper than that. Iran's trap between the CCP, City of London power structure, regional obligations, economic reality, and overwhelming U.S. military pressure. Trump's message was simple. Sign the deal and the bombing stops. Refuse and the pressure continues. Missiles are not the story. Phone call is Iran wants out. When the regime has spent decades projecting strength starts asking for terms, boards already changing. Feels less like escalation, more like the final phase of a long operation approaching closure. That's pretty timely right there, I'd say. Well played. Well played. And this is very interesting. So before this all happened, well, actually it was yesterday afternoon before the bombing stopped, Department of War, CTO, posted this, monitoring the situation. Well, monitoring the situation, somebody went back through old Q posts, and there was one post that contained that phrase, and it had to do with Iran. Interesting. We stand with the good people of Iran currently battling their installed regime. True rule, people have power, rise up and demand they be removed. Some point military generals will act with the will of the people because their soldiers are those same people and have no choice. We stand with you. We are monitoring the situation closely. Stay safe. God bless. This is from 8 years ago in June. And then yesterday we get this posted by the Department of War. and then they start bombing, and today we get this. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. Well, tell you what, guys, obviously we'll be monitoring this. We'll wait and see what the details are, but it's truly starting to look like this whole Iran thing might be over with, might I add, plenty of time before the midterms, plenty of time for gas prices to go down. I mean, they just put it out, man. This is going to this is the globalists are freaking out right now. City of London is absolutely freaking out because Trump just showed that he had all the cards the whole time, and then proved it last night with these strikes, and with all these countries joining in. Man, I'm excited. If they announce the details of this, Iran actually signs off on it, all these countries are a part of it, this is going to be such an incredibly massive win. And as oil prices tank going into the midterms, guys, Trump might have just completely shifted the board again, as he happens to do many, many times. I love it. I love it. All right, let's get into the chat and catch up with you guys here for a minute. Man, dealing with this new system's got me thrown off because I had to do it to interview Rich, and now I'm a little stuck. But again, please tag me, guys, if you want to get a hold of me. You know, always send a super chat if you're just desperate to be read. Let's see here. Trump will be credited for creating peace in the Middle East. It sure looks like it. Yeah, we're already getting to the people who are skeptical. I mean, I get it. I get being skeptical, but at the same time, like, what's the point? It's much more, it's much healthier, much more productive to be like, how can you make this work? What's this going to look like? And be hopeful. It's much more productive to do that. So, let's see. Well, whether or not it's Iran can hold a deal, which is one of the criticisms coming out, whether or not they're capable of holding a deal, I'll tell you what, when you have them sign on something with all these other countries, that to me is the tell that something lasting is about to happen. I mean, if they all sign off on an agreement, and others, well, I wonder who the others are. This is all these countries holding Iran accountable. And I'm sorry, but with the strait borders a few of these countries, you can't, once we've defanged them, which we've done, we've taken out all their military stuff, their defenses, you defang them, and then you have all these other countries being like, no, we're going to help police this. That, or there's economic problems if they don't. I mean, Trump already announced, like, we're going to, if they strike anybody else, we're going to use their funds to repay them, like to rebuild. I mean, Bassett said this the other day, Iranian regime will lose the zero-sum game it's playing. Any damage it inflicts on our allies in the Gulf will be paid for with funds extracted from Iranian accounts. Any tolls paid to the authority will be offset by funds extracted from their accounts. See, we completely own them. They have nothing. We struck them again last night. They couldn't deliver a single hit back. everything they do financially. We control their money. The Trump administration surrounded them on all sides, boxed them in completely, and now they can't do anything. That's, my friends, that is how you hold the deal. You just keep complete control. So whether or not Iran changes, guys, if they're going to survive as a nation, they don't have any other. Trump has made it so they don't have any other option. And going back to what we were talking about before, the whole idea of if Iran's people and their government are tired of being kind of controlled by the city of London as a proxy state, it would make sense that they'd be okay with this, because now they sign. This is the other thing: you sign an agreement with all these countries to give up nuclear or whatever it is Trump's going to get out of them. You sign that agreement, but that also means that's an alliance all of a sudden. Like, these countries got your back if something happens, and I'm sure there's going to be something like that. So, some deeper is going on here, and this is a big deal. This is a big deal. I'm waiting to see details. But to me, it looks like Trump's gambit pulled off. Now, the question is, was our helicopter really taken down by Iran, or was it just used as an opportunity to end this? I don't know. That's a question we're going to have, but it sure made an effect pretty quickly, didn't it? I mean, this is a very fast turnaround. And after what happened last night, they must have been really spooked about whatever Trump was going to do tonight. Markets are really rallying on this. Oil is down. Oil is down to, let me make this bigger. Get off here. Yeah, oil's down to 87. We have Dow's up almost 900 points on this news. Wow. So, I mean, maybe he's manipulating the markets again. I don't know, but this is pretty big. Rum Dog says Trump wants to change City of London to Trump City. Let's see here. Somebody had an interesting comment. I wanted to. Madam XC said, I had a really hard time trusting Trump at first, probably because we've been so screwed before. Promethean updates told me what's actually happening. I found the show. Well, thank you, madam. I'm so glad you found the show. By the way, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe, and everybody else, please hit the like so the algo knows you actually like my show. You're not just watching. That'd be nice. So it's a free way to support the show. And if you really like the show, guys, please go in the description. First of all, follow Rich's channel, but also try out the membership. Click that link to Patreon. You get a free month. Try it out. See if you like the community in there at the Discord, and get the free members lives once you're a part of it. Members extra content. So give it a shot. DJ Fusion says, it wouldn't surprise me if LA finds a mysterious batch of Spencer Pratt ballots. That would be an interesting way, right, to break it. Very interesting. OK Sooners said Patriots are in control. Trump posted it twice. He did last week. I covered it each time he's posted it. Actually, it was earlier this week and last week. So they have been posting it a lot. It kind of keeps everybody on their toes. I'll say that. But this is huge, huge news. And wow. I love when news happens when I'm live, because I'm not really prepared too much on it, but still good stuff. All right. Well, with that happening in Iran, I do want to talk about some of the other stuff going on, because there's just so much going on. And so I also want to talk about what we're seeing the Trump administration do the last couple of days. So let me move on to that. But again, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. All right. So yesterday we found out that the Trump administration is punishing California because of this election. Now, it's more than just the election, but they're really ramping it up. And so the Trump administration just announced it's defunding tens of millions of dollars from Los Angeles homeless program. Let's hear the details on this real quick.
Department is cutting off tens of millions in federal funding from LA's homeless program over what it calls mismanagement and lack of safeguards against potential fraud. David Spunt live at the Justice Department. Hi, David.
Hi, Dana. Hi, Bill. This is a huge blow to this LA homeless authority. It's called LAHSA. They just were informed within the last hour that they are losing these tens of millions of dollars. They've gotten almost over $1 billion since 2021 in federal taxpayer funding. Now they're going to lose it as this investigation goes underway. This is from the White House Fraud Task Force in coordination with Housing and Urban Development. This is a 13-page letter that we obtained exclusively sent to this agency. According to the letter, LAHSA's received, as I said, $1 billion from HUD since 2021. The letter goes on quick to point out that LA County has withdrawn funding for the agency. The city of LA is considering the same. The letter continues. HUD has evidence that LAHSA's repeated false statements and its irresponsible actions and failures, including its lack of financial management, internal controls, and safeguards against conflicts of interest, pose a threat to HUD, the public, and those living on the streets of LA.
Now, remember, it's one of the ways they got votes is they were going to the homeless people. Here, vote for Karen Bass. We'll give you money. And they're like, okay, it's James O'Keefe exposed. So it makes perfect sense to me that they'd pull funding from this. With what's going on in California right now, the egregious, completely fraudulent election that's happening right now, the way they're stealing it, it seems to me that the Trump administration is putting pressure on it in many different ways, this being one of them. And LA, as we've been finding out, thanks to JD Vance and the fraud team, is one of the most fraudulent counties in America. 800 hospice centers, that were fraudulent so far, billions and billions of dollars, and it's continuing. So you take away their money, you take away their resources and their ability to keep doing terrible things. And speaking of terrible things, there was a meeting today or yesterday. I'm sorry. This came out. This clip is from this morning though, but DHS, who just got fully funded, is letting us know more of what they've been accomplishing and what they're dealing with. And this, to me, I'm always like, everybody who says the Trump administration is not getting anything done, to anybody who says is disappointed in them, I just want them to watch stuff like this, because this is what was happening before. This is what happens when you put Democrats in charge. So here's Markwayne Mulling just exposing more and more of the disgusting corruption of the previous party's control.
I tell people that I haven't quit smiling since I've been Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, but I have to take that back, because when we start digging into these cases and you start hearing the absolute horrific things that took place underneath the Biden administration, under true neglect at best and criminal at worst, to allow 450,000 kids to go missing throughout this country. President Trump has made it a point to go find these kids. And because of our partnership with HHS and DOJ, Department of Homeland Security, truly using the best of the best, which the Democrats sometimes want to demonize, because a lot of times this is ICE, this is HSI, this is CBP. These individuals that the Democrats seem to want to defund, but because of President Trump, we finally funded them for 3 years. We're able to push and go find these kids. We found 146,000 kids so far. 146,000 kids. We still have nearly 300,000 missing.
Jeez.
We're investigating reports to where some of these kids claim that they were raped 600 to 700 times. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have kids, if you don't have kids. I don't care if you're a liberal, you're independent, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. If you can't stand for law enforcement to go find these kids, who are you? Who are you? Mm-hmm. Every leader should understand what's going on. And do you know where we're finding the most of them? Sanctuary cities.
Yep.
Because they know they're safe. That's why they're called sanctuary cities. Because of President Trump's leadership, we're going into those sanctuary cities. We have mayors like Mandami in New York who want to say you're not welcome. As a mayor, he knows what's happening on the streets. He knows who he's harboring, and at this point in abating. By saying that we can't go operate, we're going to. We're going to go find the worst of the worst. We're going to rescue as many kids as we possibly can. We're going to enforce our nation's laws, and we're going to right the wrongs that the Biden administration turned a blind eye to.
Yeah. So somebody tell me again how you want to put Democrats back in power just because your gas prices are a little high. It's so disgusting to me. The fact that like we're not covering this and the mainstream media won't cover this. There's so many people. It's just like the big bullhorn. They won't cover this. They're not going to put it out there because they don't want you to know this. They want to play the game. But this is what the globalists want. They trafficking is one of their currencies. It's just a fact. And the numbers have gone up. It was originally 365,000, then it was 385,000. Now they're saying 450,000 kids trafficked into the US. Unbelievable stuff. And I'm sorry, but like, there's no other issue that matters enough to not keep this administration in power. And this is why, by the way, they want you to think the Trump administration is that the Trump administration is pedos or Epstein. They're trying to project, because this is the one administration in modern history that's cleaning up this program. Okay. So it's like anybody who says these things, it's just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You can dislike Trump all you want. This is non-negotiable. Fixing this problem, getting these kids safe. And I don't care. Like, this is to me, like, obviously some things have to be dealt with just for the country to survive. Absolutely. If they're trying to, like, if countries trying to invade us or whatever, like, that has to be dealt with. But as far as like domestic issues, like, a lot of stuff matters. Don't get me wrong. Nothing matters more than this. Nothing. These are children, innocent children that the government allowed to be put into place to be abused so that they could get kickbacks. That is exactly who the Democrats are right now. I'm not talking about the Democrat down the street that's your friend. I'm talking about the ones in power. They all knew this was happening. They all signed off on it, and they all allowed it. Kamala Harris, that evil witch, she was the czar, border czar. This was her. She literally signed off on being responsible for this. So this is who you vote for when you vote Democrat. This is who you vote for when you don't show up at the polls. You're allowing them to come back. And so just remember, like, you're not, if we turn on Trump, turn on the Republicans in charge right now, if we do the Nick Fuentes thing and are just like, put Democrats in charge so we can accelerate things and let it all fall apart, you do that game, you're not hurting Donald Trump. He'll be fine. He's going to go off in the sunset as a billionaire. You're not hurting him. You're hurting these children. You're hurting the people involved, like near being affected by illegal immigration, by crime. That's who you're hurting. And so, but yeah, go ahead and be selfish and be like, no, I'm sorry. All I care about is inflation, food prices. Do those things matter? Heck yeah, they matter. They affect everybody. But I'm sorry, if I got to choose between, paying a little extra at the pump and kids being raped, I don't think that's a hard decision. So, and for anybody who's like, oh, that's a little bit, that's a little bit extreme. No, it's not, because it actually happened. It actually happened, and it's been happening. So, it's just insane. It's insane. Now, Todd Blanche had a little bit more to say on this subject as he broke down what they're doing with this immigration push, and thank God it was just funded.
So for years, open border policies threatened the security of our nation and put countless lives at risk. Under President Trump's leadership, the Department of Justice is working alongside HHS and DHS to secure the border and protect American communities. There's a lot of ways that we do this. It includes punishing those who exploited the system and smuggled unaccompanied children across the border during the prior administration. More than 475,000 unaccompanied children entered the United States during the Biden administration. 475,000. Over 300,000 cannot be accounted for at the end of 2024. The way that this happened was typically because the criminals calling themselves sponsors trafficked these children to the border, usually committing fraud to do so. And oftentimes the children were abused, assaulted, and certainly exploited. In some cases, individuals would sponsor multiple children, which required them to lie to government personnel and on government forms, claiming they were close relatives when in fact they were not. They would use fake or stolen identities and make other false claims during the application process in order to obtain custody of the children. I think I'm stating the obvious that when government fails to protect our borders, it is the most vulnerable who suffer. And this department and this administration has.
I mean, how sick is that? They literally created a system so people could sponsor these children just by claiming they were related. Just, it's the corruption on the side of the elites, the side of the globalists, which, listen, I'm not saying all Republicans are perfect. Of course not. A lot of them are complicit in this. Ray Langford, the guy out of Oklahoma who created that horrific bill that was supposed to fix the border problems, the bipartisan border problems that he came out with the Biden administration that would have allowed 5,000 people to cross every day before they started turning them away. Yeah, that guy's in on it. It's just, they're in court, they're part of this system. They want to make it continue. So yeah, there's bad Republicans too, but the Democratic Party is completely taken over by these people. Completely. And at least on our side, MAGA is taking over the Republican Party and weeding out the bad guys. So we're doing that. We're doing our work. It's happening. But this is exactly who that globalist system is. And right now they're represented in America by the Democratic Party. That's the only way they get back in power. So I feel like it's a moral obligation to fight against this stuff. It's like, I don't care. I don't care about all the other arguments. This is crazy. They set up a system, just like they set up a system in California where they could steal elections. They set up a system to traffic as much as they wanted, like to hurt these kids as currency. And it's just a way of control. It's so disgusting. So they are, but this is being fixed. And nobody's talking about this. Nobody's covering this. This is going to go just on a couple channels like mine and, watching the actual White House feed. And that's about it. But that tells you that it's real because they don't want you to know about this. Because if you find this out, if this becomes mainstream and they heard this stuff, they would not have a chance in this midterms. If this became mainstream, if people actually learned about these kids, they are hiding it as much as possible. That's why the mainstream media, the influencers won't cover this. This is why they want you to focus on Israel and the Jews, because they don't want you to look at this, the actual crime of nearly 500,000 kids in the 4 years of Biden being trafficked on our soil. They want you to focus on that. And more just keeps coming out. I mean, Laura Logan, the corruption of this Biden regime is so insane. But internal emails from Biden DOJ reveal the weaponization against parents horrified at career attorneys. Political appointee Kevin Chambers alerts two career attorneys of the Garland memo plan. They object and forward to others, expressing strongly. So the way they were going after traditional families, the way they were going after Christians, the way they were weaponizing the Justice Department, it was so bad that even attorneys in the Justice Department were fighting back against Merrick Garland and Biden. So I mean, it's coming out. We're just going to see more and more exposed. But there's a long way to go, and we have to keep our foot down on this, and we have to keep spreading it. It's got to be revealed, because it's crazy, man. It is so crazy what we're seeing. And then last thing right now is this Rand Paul releasing this timeline of Fauci's extensive contact with the intel community. Well, who's the intel community? As we've talked about so many times, it's CIA, MI6, all ties to London, right? Deep state, that's that globalist system. And it's just Fauci, everything he was doing connected to it as well. So again, you just keep seeing the connections here of how they've tried to control us, the horrible things they're willing to do to keep power, to keep money. And we won. We got these people out, and now we're in the cleanup phase. Now we're in the restructuring phase. But again, guys, this is so huge that we're even seeing any of this. But again, it's only people like John Solomon reporting this, who, might have a couple million followers, but he's not having 50 million people watch it, 75 million. Like if it was getting on Fox News and clipped, or, Tucker Carlson. But again, they don't want you to see any of this, but it is happening. The Trump administration is administering justice. Think about these kids. I mean, guys, these kids being rescued, I guarantee you, they're not complaining that Bill Gates isn't arrested yet. They're as bad as Bill Gates is, as bad as a lot of the people are that we want to see arrested. The people on the ground are currently doing the most harm. And that's where we're starting right now. Get it, make it stop. Find these kids, as many as you can, crush these networks, get the perpetrators on the ground first, and then we can work our way up to the people that everybody else wants. But this is happening. So, justice is here. It's here. It's happening more and more. And I think it's only going to ramp up, especially as Blanche gets confirmed, which Trump has already got in motion. All right. Got a couple more things I want to go through, guys. Some midterms updates, and of course, a Grifter report we'll get into. But first, let me get into the chat, because sometimes I get distracted. I go on too long, and I need to catch up with you guys. Let me see here. Nobody's been tagging me, so that's it's a little harder to see things, but I'm going to try to find a couple comments. I think I did see my name come up. Where was it? Okay, Rumdog. It says, pisses me off how churches were used as NGOs to traffic illegals and place them in America. Government used American sympathy to help them traffic. 100%. Well, it's not just that, though. You got to remember, a lot of those Christian NGOs that allowed this stuff were Catholic, and they were, it's all the Vatican push to make it happen, and you get into the deep state stuff there with not regular Catholics, not even regular Catholic churches, but bigger embedded Catholic communities and organizations. But yeah, most of them were Catholic. So have Josh Reed on. I don't know who Josh Reed is. I guess I'll have to look into it. And to be fair, it wasn't only Catholic organizations, but it mostly was. Bev says, in Kentucky, we despise Rand Paul. He's a sellout. He took kickbacks from Maduro. I don't like Rand either, but I will celebrate anything he does well. It's just like Lindsey Graham. I don't like Lindsey Graham, but I'd rather have him than the guy that they tried to get in, the America First grifter crowd tried to get in, because he was going to be an obstructionist, and we don't need that right now. But Rand Paul is an obstructionist a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong. I just hope that he sees, he might have been scared by what happened with Massey, to be honest, because he's been a little better lately. He has, but we'll see if it lasts. Madam says, I can't believe how many evil people there are. I want to take a dime and let this happen. A few bucks turn people into monsters. Yeah, I mean, you got to think some people are groomed to be monsters their whole life. Maybe they were abused. Maybe they were treated like inhuman, so they don't have that feeling for others. There's a lot of reasons for all this stuff. Okay. But regardless, yeah, some people just do it for the money. It's disgusting. It really is. It's not that many people though. I do want you to understand, like, most people will say no to this stuff. They would never be a part of it. But yeah, there's, if you got 7 billion people in the world and 1 million of them are very evil, well, that's a very small percentage, but it's also a very large amount. And that's kind of how you got to look at it. Let's see here. Red Pill TV. All right, I'll look at it. Okay, let's keep going then. All right. So again, guys, if you want to, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, think about joining the Patreon and supporting the channel. Tag me if you got questions or comments, or all that other good stuff. But we got to keep moving here. Sorry, I apologize to you guys. I'm a little woozy today. I woke up early. I recorded 2 videos with Rich at 8 a.m. And with Rich and Steve Kuhn at 8 a.m. And then I did my research for the day, took a little break to eat, and then I got back on here live with Rich. So I have done a lot of recording today. And so I apologize if I'm not as sharp as usual. I'm a little worn down, but I'm going to make it because I got more to share. And I do still love the chat. So anything you guys question, comment, I'm paying attention, and I'll do my best to address as you guys got stuff for me. But all right, let's get into this next segment. So California is an absolute mess. The election there is a disaster. And then we still got a whole bunch of stuff going on for the midterms. But with all this happening, Trump now is looking into investigating the California elections. And so it's a rigged election. We need the Save America Act. So here's what Trump had to say on this.
The shaft. And he did, Spencer Pratt, he did really pretty damn well. And they threw him out. And it was happening to Steve Hilton. And I went on a tear. And they said it was going to be 2 weeks, and they'll know about Hilton, whether or not he's going to make it. I went on such a tear that they approved it immediately. They approved Steve. It's such a rigged deal. It's so crazy. They approved him so fast because everybody was watching, and he was leading, and it was leading by a lot. And you saw his lead was dissipating rapidly. They were taking it away from him, just like they took it away from the kid. And I went on a tear. And by the way, we have the U.S. attorneys looking at it. And the 2 weeks said all of a sudden, we have a surprise. Steve Hilton won. And he did win. But they were going to take it away shortly. They were going to take it away over a 2 week period. They announced that they wouldn't have the results for a week to 2 weeks. All of a sudden, they approved Steve Hilton.
But Iran.
It's a rigged election.
Yeah.
Okay, but
just focus, I shouldn't have brought that up. But how do you feel about Iran?
But let's get back. Get back.
You hear the guy trying to get out of it? He's like, let's focus on Iran. I shouldn't have brought up the election. Trump happy to talk about rigged elections, and on Fox they don't want to hear it, right? He's like, get off, cut it, cut, stop talking about this. But Trump what did he just let us know? He told us that because of him, because of calling out the election in real time, because so many people are watching now, that they were forced to not steal it from Hilton. They already pulled off Pratt, but Hilton is much bigger. He had a much bigger lead. It was going to be even crazier to knock Hilton out. And Trump just said, basically, I was calling it out. I was putting my eyes on it. Everybody was watching. And so they allowed Hilton to go through. That's pretty interesting, honestly. And he says that we got attorneys watching it. So what does Trump know? What does Trump know? Because I have a feeling Trump is, he's signaling right there that he knows something going on in California. I really do. Now, as Trump was saying this, he came out with this massive truth that he wants to get a new reconciliation bill in time for the midterms. This is a big deal because Trump is a few weeks ago when the Save America Act was first knocked back, when the Senate wasn't going to pass it, Trump said, well, we have other ways. It looks like to me like Trump's getting other ways of getting this through. And he says, no other president ever been more committed to rebuilding our country, our military, and our country. And now is the time to make it happen for generations to come. I'm hereby calling on Republicans in Congress to immediately advance and pass the forthcoming $350 billion reconciliation bill. Recon 3. I like that. Which at the request of our great Department of War will include the Save America Act as well. This is why he's trying to get rid of the parliamentarian, because she's the one who will cut this out. No games, no delays, no weak compromises. Do this ASAP. This is generational investment in our military, bigger than President Reagan's. Recon 3 is the only path to the full $1.5 trillion military budget our warriors need to build the arsenal of freedom. We'll defend the homeland with the Golden Dome, launch the unstoppable Golden Fleet, dominate the skies with F-47, B-21, supercharge our ammunition stockpiles, and achieve total space force and drone dominance. This is the reconnaissance. This is how we make sure that, like we've been watching the uranium stockpile, making sure nobody touches it. This is Trump basically saying our military will will be at full power, even beyond what we're already at, which is a crazy thought after all the technology we've seen since Venezuela being used. This budget reignites American industry, creates hundreds of thousands of high-paying American jobs, secures our global dominance without fueling inflation. Also, the Save America Act will protect our elections for generations to come. Our warriors protect our most sacred rights. Voting is the top time to defend that right for every American. Secure the nation. And he says, Save America Act, all voters show ID. All voters show proof of citizenship. No mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military travel. No men and women's sports. No transgender mutilization surgery for our children. Guys, I'm telling you, this is excellent. This is exciting. And here's how this could work. See, as of today, Trump announced a deal with Iran, with win. And all of a sudden, Trump now has leverage. He's already pushed out a bunch of Republicans, and this gets past the filibuster. Now, reconciliation is supposed to only have budget stuff in it. Well, if you attach the Save America Act, the parliamentarian could push it out. Well, now Trump's trying to get rid of the parliamentarian. So you can see, like with Iran, if this deal holds that was just announced, it's a perfect example of how Trump just rug pulled us all again in a good way. That, it didn't look like much was happening. It kind of looked like a standstill is going back and forth. And then out of nowhere, he all of a sudden pulls the trigger, attacks, deal made. We see if that holds up. We'll see the details, but that's how he works. It's similar to what he did with the Epstein files, where all of a sudden he championed it. It got through real quick. When Trump puts his mind to something and coordinates, a lot of times it happens. Now, this is a big deal because attaching it to the military budget, you're putting pressure on Congress to, like, which congressman's going to want to not vote on this on the Republican side in a midterm year when they're being elected? Oh, you didn't vote to fund the military? That doesn't look very good, does it? Especially as a conservative, especially as a Republican. Yeah, not so great. And it's interesting to me that Trump pulls this trigger right when he's also lining up the Iran deal. We might actually be there. So this could be huge. This could actually be huge. And he could pull this off. And if he gets this passed, not only do we have our military go to a whole nother level, which would be awesome, but then we get the Save America Act in before the midterms. Really, really huge. Now, with all that going on, we also have the pressure of the midterms. And one of the things that's been coming out is all this inflation data. It's, and depending on who you ask, like I had this argument the other day with somebody on my show about the inflation, what a big deal it is, and how the debt needs to be solved. And ultimately, I was arguing that, well, inflation isn't as bad as they say. You don't actually, rising prices is different than inflation. And so is the debt. It doesn't matter as much when you have more assets. I was making all these points. Well, today, look at this. We got bad inflation news. CPI was high, then PPI was hot. But true inflation, which actually tracks all these metrics and treats inflation as actual inflation, not just price rising, has true inflation index at 1.84 year over year. That's much lower than the 4% that's being reported by CPI. This is millions of live price points across 30 plus sources. So real-time view of inflation. This is what we're actually looking at, not just the BLS reported rate of 3.8%, which is much more tied to oil and stuff like that, which is really just rising prices, not so much actual inflation. So again, I know the numbers, that's what Wall Street makes their decisions off of. That's what will get reported. But this is what people will actually feel outside of oil, which is starting to go down. So with all that, we have that the people are waking up to the economic policies of the right. And what Trump's doing is what these red states are doing. And look at how, like, this is massive. Okay. If Trump pulls this off in the country, what he's trying to do, we're going to start seeing this kind of thing happen in the full country, not just Texas. But Texas just replaced California as a state with the most Fortune 500 capital. That's a big flipping deal. 57 Fortune 500 companies made roughly 2.8 trillion in revenue last year in Texas, compared to California, 2.7 trillion. This is the first time California hasn't been number one in a very long time. The red states are starting to gain even more. Why? Because it's easier to start a business there. And the revenue can go much higher. Taxes are less, regulations are less. Trump's doing this with the whole economy. He's doing this with the whole economy. So we're going to start seeing this just grow and grow and grow. And as we've already been seeing it, earnings have been out of control. So as Trump's economic policies are working, red state type economic policies are working, inflation's coming in higher, but still not terrible. Iran's getting fixed. Trump's pushing, for election integrity. We still got it getting worse for the Democrats. Today, New York Times reporter Jodi Kantor wrote Me Too stories, is now defending Graham Plattner, and there is a lot of backlash on this. Watch.
Well, let's talk about what they may or may not be willing to overlook. The accusations against Graham Plattner are not classic Me Too accusations. They're not about a boss and a young female employee.
So it's only bosses and employees now. Doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. That's what a Me Too is. That's how you believe women. If it's a boss and employee. It's crazy.
Being subjected to sexual advances. They were mostly made in the context of consensual relationships. There are these very sensational texts about sex. There are allegations from former girlfriends that are not, the way my colleagues reported them, were not like classic abuse allegations. They were mostly like, being his boyfriend gave me a view into him and I did not like what I saw. His character was scary. He had this Nazi tattoo, etc. There was one allegation of crossing a line physically, but I think that means that these are pretty different.
I'll tell you guys, if there's one, there's more. These guys don't ever just do it once.
Accusations than say the ones that President Trump faced, and of course in the Access Hollywood.
Oh, of course, Trump's worse. Let's make how Trump's worse. The allegations he faced. It's unbelievable.
With tape, President Trump bragged about grabbing women against their will. And so I think it speaks to the kind of confusion of the long post-Me Too moment in which gender-related accusations get bundled together, but they're actually very different.
Can you believe these people? They're very different because he's our guy It's different, guys. It's different. This is, don't worry about it. We're Democrats. It's different. It's different. We can't be bad. We're just like, this is who they are. This is who they are. Believe them when they tell you. Believe them when they tell you who they are. Thankfully, things aren't so hot for them. Look at this difference here. In 2018, Trump's first midterm, the House got shellacked, but the Senate held. We got 53 in the Senate, and the House flipped to Democrat. Well, look at the difference in projections back then. In 2018, Democrats had 210 safe seats, Republicans 195. 30 were in toss-up. Today, Republicans are plus 17 and safe. And now some places have them at 217 right here and not just 212. Regardless, it's a major flip. And we're a red country, baby. So it's going to be hard for them to overcome this. We need, depending on this one, 6 of 12, 33%. Democrats in a much bigger hole. But this is the different, this was what they said would be a blue wave. It wasn't, because they didn't get the Senate. Although they did get the House, and this was their lead. This time they're calling for a blue wave, and they are way behind. So I'm going to keep showing these things because it's a good reminder. And Seth Keshel, he's reminding us about the polls. So right now, a poll came out, and it says Democrats are up plus 11 overall. And Keshel, who is the best person for election information there is out there, because he follows all the trends, he follows all the registrations, everything. He's just the best. He's been calling out how stupid these polls are. He says, what's ridiculous about this showing D plus 11 generic? Democrats don't even believe it. They're sending out emails showing seats like Maine 2 and Alaska at large as reach. In a fundraising email, this means they're out of play. That would both be blue as a Smurf and a D plus 11 national environment. Read enemy comms. Remember, Seth Keshel was former military. So says they help form the whole operating picture, kind of like when Harris never visited Iowa despite being up by 3. The famous Ann Seltzer poll. So they know it. They know they're in trouble. This is their emails going out. So they're going to try to psyop us this whole time. But again, with the position we're already in, with gas prices starting to pull back, with Trump maybe getting a deal in Iran that's finally now official, this is all going to swing very quickly, and they're just in huge trouble. So I'm not worried about the midterms. I'm really not. Maybe the things get closer. If something bad happens, if it keeps getting worse, I'll get worried. But as of right now, I think we're looking at not a red wave, but a red hold. And that this year, considering what Trump's up against, would be a miracle, and a miracle I'm excited to see. All right, guys, if you like this segment, if you like what I'm doing today, please hit the like and subscribe. Consider joining by going to the Patreon, getting a free month. My next and last segment is Grifter Report. Got some things I want to cover today. And we're going to go through what the grifters are doing here in a minute. But let me get into the chat first, catch up with you guys. Let's see here. Kat says, what they'll want before the election, a Floyd situation. They can't win on policy. They have not. Well, you're right. They may want that, but I don't think they'll be able to pull it off this time. I just don't. I think they're going to seriously struggle to do the same kind of things in the past they've done. So who does these polls? Not real people. Rob says, am I understanding sexual abuse according to Democrats can only be committed by bosses? Yes. According to the New York Times. That is it. Cat Crazy says there's no standard. Bar isn't even above ground with the left anymore. You have to dig a hole across it. Very true. Very true. Let's see here. Wish this gut would keep his shirt on. Oh, the Plattner. Yeah. Ref says, I heard the Republicans sitting on a ton of bad information, want to make sure he isn't replaced before releasing it. That is true. We've seen that multiple times now. Yep. Multiple times. So it has been confirmed that the Republicans are sitting on a bunch of stuff about Plattner, and they will, they're holding it, and then they're going to launch it once he's stuck in there. which I think he's got 2 weeks. 2 weeks left. So, all right. Ty says, I've never been asked for a poll. I know, me either, actually. Never been asked. Kekre says, I don't know, this Anthony verdict has a lot of people riled up. No, see, I disagree with you, man. So he's talking about Carmelo Anthony, who is the guy who stabbed the white kid in Texas, killed him over like nothing. And he just got sentenced to 35 years. Here's the problem with, first of all, nothing happened to that kid. Okay. And it's not on video, anything like that. We don't have anything to get riled up against. So it doesn't have that way it can be shared on social media, get people riled up. The second thing is that the vast majority of people, like, that one's so clear cut. So the people getting upset about it, they're all lefties. There's literally no Republican getting upset about the Carmelo Anthony verdict. Not at all. If anything, they're getting more people are excited that justice was done. So I don't think they'll get anything out of that at all. I really don't. How Trump's going to deal with Thune. I think he's already doing stuff behind the scenes, and then next time next in the 28 he'll primary him. Talk about Candace's attack on G. Who's G? Oh, Dana Loesch. You know what? I haven't looked into that enough. So I'm sorry, I won't have that. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. DJ Fusion says, if my mysterious Spencer Pratt ballot theory comes true, will you credit me? I placed a bet on Pratt on that theory. Kelsey's looking at lost it. Hey man, I definitely will. Kat says, it's clear cut to us, but not to the black community. Well, see, I disagree with you. Well, first of all, that community is not voting Democrat anyways. I mean, not voting Republican anyways. And secondly, I've actually seen a major backlash out of that community being like, listen, we don't want this. Like, this one, you can't, don't put this one on us. Like, we don't want to do it. I know they're going to try it, but it's not going to take, is what I'm telling you guys. Also, you know, I got to remind you guys that when they did George Floyd, X was run by the leftists. It was during COVID. It was the censorship was the worst during COVID it's ever been in our country. And that's when they also pulled off the George Floyd stuff. That is just not happening anymore. It's far too easy to get to the truth really quickly. So I just don't see it happening again. I really don't. We're in a different, it's not 2020. Things are much different than 2020 this time around. Much different. The whole environment's different. Bev Miller with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. And also Doridio has been a member for 2 months. Not tired of winning, not even close. He says, amen. Thank you guys for joining the channel, supporting it. And now you guys can have access to all the members' lives. Appreciate you. So, all right, let's get into a grifter report. It's not very long today, but I did have a couple of things I want to cover. So, your favorite person. Oops, wrong one. So, you know, watching all these people in the Magasphere influence, fake Magasphere, FAGA, Podcastistan, we're the true America First grifters, influencers. We all know it's pretty obvious at this point. They're either paid or controlled by somebody because they all do stuff on a dime. Like, some new way of attacking Trump or MAGA comes out, they all jump on it in a week and then they all interview each other. Well, here's an excellent post regarding this from this Ella K, who she's got some good stuff on here. 80,000 followers on X. She says, the American channel in your feed with millions of views, it's owned by Qatar and it just got caught. We exposed an American channel as Qatari owned. Their response wasn't to deny it. It was to quietly change that it's based in the U.S. from their bio overnight. Here's the story. 6 weeks ago, traveling Israel and I published an investigation in a channel with hundreds of thousands of followers and millions of views per episode. It presented itself as American. We Americans talking to fellow Americans. The framing was deliberate. We, never Americans, built to read like homegrown American voices. The content, a steady message, the US and West are the villains. All of America's problems trace back to Jews controlling media and academia. It rejoices in the possible fall of the US as an empire and a prosperous country. Does this not sound familiar? I know she's talking about a smaller account, but this is exactly the same kind of stuff coming out of Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Dave Smith, even Alex Jones now. It also pushes Islamist talking points. Anyone who pushes back gets labeled a racist. Decline to cheer for jihad isn't bigotry. That's also something we've been seeing from these people. Well, we actually found Qatari ownership and job listings based in Qatar behind American on-screen persona. That's not commentary. It's foreign-funded content wearing American mask. Surprise, they've now switched their socials from American to Qatari and rewrote the entire bio. Suddenly interested in transparency. Know who's funding the content in your feed. So here's an example right here. Before it said US, and this is from Uncivilized Media. And after they got caught, it says Qatar down here. But this is from X, but the point stands. This is a much larger operation, and it's also spewing into many, many smaller accounts. So with that said, here's one of our favorites, Mr. Tucker Carlson. Here's Tucker standing up for Iran. What? Listen to him.
Iran, which is bombing Arab countries and destroying Arab countries, is more popular in some Arab countries than it was at the beginning of the war. Now, how could that be? Well, because Iran has taken a clear position on the murder of Palestinian civilians, particularly in Lebanon, but not just Lebanon.
That moral authority, Iran.
In the West Bank and Gaza also. Iran has tied its ceasefire negotiations to a ceasefire in Lebanon. Now, that's not something that resonates with most Americans, like who cares? But in the Middle East and in the entire rest of the world, really, which is watching.
It's because Hezbollah is funded by Iran. That's why they want the ceasefire to stop or to be in that's why they want bombing to stop in Lebanon. Has nothing to do with Iran being this moral authority over Lebanon being bombed. It's because their own proxy, Hezbollah, is being bombed by the Israelis to be taken out, this terrorist organization. But you see how he frames it? Isn't that crazy? How he just leaves that out?
Watching Israel destroy Lebanon for reasons that are not clear at all.
Destroy Lebanon? Are you kidding me? That's not even close to happening.
Murder Christians wholesale Lebanon, destruction villages, bomb Beirut, not a traditional Hezbollah stronghold. Why are you bombing Beirut? Unclear. But it's happening in the rest.
Unclear? It's unbelievable. This guy has become so awful. I can't believe I watched him for a couple years and really enjoyed a lot of his stuff. But man, at this point, he's just gone off the rocker. And it makes you wonder, like, how much has been fake all along? Did he just recently flip? Was he playing a role for a while? Has he always been this bad? I don't know. But man, all I know is right now, this is insane how much he's leaving out.
The rest of the world is watching carefully because Lebanon is a country a lot of people have been to. Probably the most beautiful country in the world with some of the most sophisticated people in the world. It's not Yemen. It's Lebanon. It's on the Mediterranean. And the rest of the world is watching this in horror and no one's doing anything about it. The United States is abetting it. The United States is helping it happen despite what they tell you. Those are American weapons and weapon systems being used to murder Christians in Lebanon. Who is doing something about it? Iran.
Oh my God. So it's Iran is now the great champion of Christians in the Middle East. You hear what he's doing? I mean, this is insane. This framing, the absolute lies, the manipulation with like taking things out of context is crazy. But that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to convince us that Iran is somehow this good guy. Now, who would have, who has a reason to make you think Iran's actually the good guy? City of London, maybe? Yeah, maybe.
Hate to say that. Wish that weren't true.
Sure wasn't true.
Wish it didn't fall to Iran to do something about this, but it has, and they are. And they're doing more about this than any other country, including ours, including any of the Gulf states. Sorry. Because they are tying the reopening of the strait, which the world wants, to an end to Israeli bombing and murder in Lebanon. So in the eyes of the region, whatever people hate about Iran, and there's a lot that the Arabs hate about Iran, they are uniquely standing up for the Palestinians.
Oh my God. So Israel's so bad. Iran's the only one willing to stand up to them and to America. So Iran's actually the hero. There it is, guys. Iran's the big hero in all this because the Jews are just, the only problem there is in the Middle East they care about. That's kind of funny because all these other nations have been signing on to this agreement with the United States and Israel against Iran. Didn't put that one together, did we? But Tucker, is that a little too far for you? No, it's unbelievable just how like the lies, the absolute grifting, crazy lies. It's just, but this is where we're at. This is where we're at. We got Clint Russell, who's a big old libertarian influencer, along with Dave Smith. He was on this panel they had the other day from the walkaway movement, which is now being tried to also join this grifter class and turn everybody against Trump. He comes out and admits he was okay with the Islamic Republic getting a nuclear weapon. So there's that. And, I don't want to play the clip because I don't want to go on too long, but you guys can go watch it. But they're just becoming more and more obvious about this stuff. And then as they're all exposing, now I'm telling you guys, it's getting every day. So I started calling these people out a year ago and it's just gotten worse. It's gotten more obvious. Cause when I first started, I was like, yeah, you can kind of see some stuff here. It's weird. I don't like this. I don't like this person. I don't trust this person. And now a year later, every single one of these people that are like influencers who not every single one, but most of them who were MAGA adjacent, cheering on President Trump, voted for Trump, making the case against the leftists, whatever, they've all flipped. And now they're not even trying to hide it. And for me, one of the worst ones and one of the most like the ones that's becoming pretty crazy for those of us in this movement is General Flynn. Now, I was covering how he has taking now $100,000 a month from Serbia to be a consultant, and he admits to that. But he also he put on this Catholics dinner in DC, had Candace Owens come, had Joe Kent come, like total grifter types. And he's been saying some very strange stuff. Well, this one to me was the final straw for me. So this guy posts, I still don't understand how Trump convinced us to hate Thomas Massie and love Lindsey Graham. Okay, this is one of their big things. Thomas Massie, the hero. Lindsey Graham's terrible, which I agree with, but also Lindsey Graham is advancing the MAGA agenda. Thomas Massie is not. So it makes sense. It's not that hard. Don't have to think too hard on it. Trump supports Lindsey Graham because Lindsey Graham supports Trump. And right now we're in a war and you can't always pick your allies. So we're going to war with Lindsey Graham because he votes for everything Trump wants and he defends Trump on media all the time. That's good enough for now. Whereas Thomas Massie, the principled guy, fought against everything Trump's trying to do. Not that hard, right? You would think from somebody who claims to be and has gotten rich by pretending to be one of the greatest allies of President Trump, you would think he would understand this and would say that. But no, he offered this. It's because one, which is Massie, wants the Epstein files released, and the other one might be in the Epstein files. Wow. What a response to say to this. I mean, this is because this is saying Trump convinced us. And General Flynn now is saying Trump is basically defending the Epstein files and like covering them up. That's what this is. That's what Flynn just said. And no, you know, in a different way, but that's what this means. That's exactly what this phrase means. So telling you, that's insane. That is insane. And he is, to me, this is far enough because this is the exact wording all the grifters use about Massey. It's the exact same playbook. This is how they fight. This is what they say. Why they say we chased Marjorie Taylor Greene off. This, which she quit. She wasn't chased off. This is why they say Nancy Mace just lost. Oh, everybody who fights for the Epstein files gets pushed out because the Epstein class. This is their wording, and now General Flynn is out there promoting the same thing. So sorry, not sorry. There might be some in the long term anti-deep state movement following Trump that this is going to be hard to reconcile with. But guys, this is the final straw. There's just no coming back from this. So guys, the grifters are grifting. They be grifting hard, but we'll continue to expose them here. We'll continue to show them who they are. But again, the good news is people like this are doing good work, tracking it. And I believe, just like Laura Loomer said the other day, that there are real investigations going on with the FBI as Candace went off to Russia. As we see, the Tates went off to Russia, Glenn Greenwald supporting it. I mean, the Dugan connections, the Qatari money, Tucker Carlson coming out in support of Iran as a hero. I mean, you can't unsee it. And so they obviously are tied to someone because it's all happening at once. And yeah, unfortunately, it's General Flynn too. So once you see it, you can't unsee it. But there we are, folks. Thankfully, we're exposing them, and their power is waning, which is the proof's been in the primaries, as every single person they've endorsed has gotten whooped. So we're winning, but still sucks because some of these people we thought we'd want to win with, but it is what it is. Anyways, let's keep moving forward. All right. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let me get into the Chizat. And listen, that's yeah, I don't know. My brain is all over the place today. Let's see if there's any updates real quick on Trump and Iran, because I would love to know if there's details coming out about this deal. So let me see if I can find anything real quick before we call it a day, because this would only be the biggest news in the world, right? Right? Anything new? Doesn't look like we got any new. Okay. All right. So still waiting on more. That's fine. All right. In the chat. What's up, guys? Please tag me if you got something directed for me. Here we go. Bobby Girl joined the YouTube channel. Thank you, Bobby, for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Violence of Poetry says, so Tucker would have us believe the only moral actor in the entire Middle East is Iran, who openly funds multiple terror proxies. Honk your nose. I love it. Yep, that's what he'd have us believe. Isn't that crazy? Now, I mean, how obvious is that to be like just coming out of nowhere all of a sudden and making that push? Insane. One of the many 76 with a $10 super chat says, couldn't make the live day. Want to jump in and say yesterday was the best one yet. Can't wait to rewatch this one. Well, thank you, man. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got great feedback on yesterday's live. So thanks to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thanks to everybody watching. And just trying to get better for you. I'm going to try to have more guests on. I'm going to keep, going into deeper dives on stuff and just do the best I can. I really am. I really appreciate you guys. And listen, please, if nothing else, hit the like and the subscribe. And if you want to use them up, you only get 3 a week. Use the hypes on my videos. It has been summertime. We're hitting a little bit of a lull, so my channel slowed down a little bit, which, I'll be honest with you, a little scary when you take the risk and go for it and then slows down a little bit. No trouble yet. But anyways, just saying, if you guys want to support me, you can hit the like, hit the subscribe and hype it. That would help my videos get out there more. So, but I do appreciate you guys, and really thank those of you who do support me financially, like one of the many just did. So thank you guys for that. Let's see. Cat Crazy says Trump was in the Epstein files only because he was the one trophy Epstein couldn't bag. He was obsessed with Trump. That's why his name shows up. Dude, you're 100% right. And I have done dozens and dozens of hours on the Epstein files proving that as I went through the Epstein files and broke it all down. So yeah, you're 100% right on that. Absolutely. Thanks, guys. You dropped my show in the Trish Reagan chat. Okay, well, thank you. You got a crush on her? Diffusion says disagrees on the Epstein files, believes there's more to come as midterms get closer. You might be right. I'm not saying there's nothing in there. Okay. But I am saying that they are, I don't know if in the current batch there's much more. Let me put it that way. But is there more to the story overall? I would agree with that. Yeah, I absolutely would. Thank you, J-Man Truther, for the gift, the happy poop. I appreciate the happy poops. Great stuff. Rob says, am I the only one forget Carlson promoted COVID lockdown? You know, I wasn't watching Tucker then, so I didn't remember that. So there you go. I didn't remember that. I wasn't watching him then. I only really paid attention to Tucker from about 2002 to 2025. And up through the election, he was excellent. He did excellent interviews. He gave great speeches. He did really good work. And that's why I liked him. And I was all of a sudden, I was like, oh man, I like this Tucker stuff. But then he started having some weirdos on and started saying some weird stuff here and there. And I was starting to be like, I don't know. But Trump was trusting him, or at least he appeared to. And so I was like, you know what? Something's going on with Tucker. I don't want to. But then Iran happened. And all of a sudden, Tucker went full on anti-MAGA, anti-Trump. And that's when I was like, I see you. I see you. So I should have listened to my gut a little sooner, but I wanted to believe he wasn't bad. Remember when Tucker interviewed a nun that looked and sounded like a man? I don't know. No, I didn't watch that one. The nun claimed that Christians in Gaza, Tucker gave no pushback. No, I don't remember that. That's funny. A nun that looks like a man. That's hilarious. Joseph says, Tucker's insane. I know people in Lebanon, they want to see Hezbollah gone. Iran slaughters its own people. They're the defenders. These people are lunatics. I completely agree. DJ says, Democrats are losing talking point closer to midterms to campaign on. The only thing they'll have is the Epstein files. Seems like a huge trap for easy midterms victory. Well, yeah, they have that, and they have gas prices, which are starting to go quickly. I mean, oil right now, as I'm seeing it, is at 88. So, I mean, it just keeps going down. Gas prices are going to be under 350 soon, then 325. And then if Iran finishes, they'll be close to 2 by the midterms. Good luck. You know, good luck fighting that. That's going to like really ramp up the economy. DOJ rules says, let's go over the past 6 months. I've discovered Promethean, Rich Does Politics, and Ace. It's nice to see Rich here. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Motley Cruel just says, I missed the entire show dealing with furnace replacement. Oh my God, I'm so sorry for you. It's day 3 with no AC. It's hot. Please pray, but you can have all the hypes when I watch today's show. Well, thank you, Molly. I appreciate you. And I'm so sorry. God bless her with the furnace replacement. Get that AC going. I know I need it here. It's 90 plus degrees. So it is hot. Ed says it's already 329 in his area. Yeah, it's down to 359 in mine. And it was 419 3 weeks ago. So that's really heading in the right direction. Sorry, WAP. Yeah, if you live in a blue state, you're not going to have much you're not going to have much help. I'm sorry. It's just not going to be good for you. Bring on Dana Loesch. I should see if she'll I don't know if I think Dana Loesch is probably too big for my channel, but I could try. I'll reach out and see what happens. All right. Anything else today, guys? I'm sorry I don't have more. Usually I have a good discussion to close out with, but today I'm beat. I'm exhausted because, like I said, I've been going since 8 a.m. today with content. Filmed 2 videos with Rich, then did my research for the day, then had Rich on for the first hour, an interview, and now, did the regular segment. So yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired, boys. I'm tired, boss. So, guys, I'm going to call it for now. Take a break. Tomorrow I'll be back, same time. Members, keep your eye out. There's a members live coming. I got class 2. My eschatology class 2 is coming. So keep your eyes out for that. But before you guys leave, please hit the like, subscribe, consider joining and supporting the channel. Listen, I don't do sponsors. Haven't found one I want to promote. I don't run ads, just whatever YouTube puts on my channel. And so all my everything is user supported, so and viewer supported. So I want to keep it that way, and with your guys memberships, that helps me do that. And so I appreciate you guys for all the support. Members, I love you guys. You guys are the best, and I'm just going to keep making the membership better as well, so you guys get the value for your money. But again, if you want to try it out, you can try it out for free for a month, but click in the Patreon link in the description. Did I get my SpaceX IPO? Thank you for reminding me, Katie. I'm going to do that right now. All right. Love you guys. Have a blessed rest of your day. Let's pray real quick and we'll call it a day. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Bless everybody watching today, Father. Thank you for Rich joining me. I pray a blessing over him as well. And just, Lord, bless our president. Pray that, God, things continue to come together. Pray that this Iran deal is legitimate. It lasts. It is binding. And God, we can get a major win out of it. Pray the oil goes down and the economy can start ramping up as well. And just bless our country, Lord, with more peace, justice, and prosperity than ever before. Bless our president with wisdom and protection in Jesus' name. And bless everybody here. Thank you, Lord, for all you do. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Bless you guys. Love you. Have a blessed day. And I'll see you again.